Hi guys! Today we'll be recapping a story called The Heroine Had an Affair with My Fiance. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot. Enjoy! Long ago, back when an evil dragon was terrorizing the Empire, a group of warriors were able to subdue it with much effort. However, before it succumbs to death, the dragon cursed the warriors' leader along with the Empire's first emperor. Centuries later, the Crown Prince is considered the most powerful person in the history of the Empire. Unfortunately, the curse upon his bloodline manifested in him, and he turned into a hideous creature upon his coming of age. When all his hope is almost lost, a person appears before him, Tyrael Puritina. She, the heroine of the novel, The Evil Dragon Doesn't Bite, is the only person capable of dispelling the curse and saving the prince using her holy purification power. At present, Tyrael sits before Ciel I, confessing that she has a lover. Ciel I concludes that since the heroine has fallen in love, this means that the original story is beginning its course. This means that she'll die soon. You see, Ciel I is engaged with Duval Esset, the villain in the novel. In the story, he harassed Tyrael until the Crown Prince put him to death. Unfortunately, as his wife, the original Ciel I was dragged along with him to the guillotine simply because they were married. Why did she have to transmigrate into poor Ciel of Labyrinth's body? She is now at risk of suffering her fate too. In order to try to save herself, Ciel I rescues the female lead from the slums she was from. She befriends her and helps her enter society as a proper lady. All she has to do is break off her engagement with Duval. Tyrael is once again calling her attention, so Ciel I asks her who her lover is. At first, the girl is hesitant, stating that Ciel I will not like the man she loves. After some coaxing, she reveals that instead of the Crown Prince, Tyrael's lover is Duval himself. What kind of friend steals her friend's fiancé? Honestly, I expected more from this supposed female lead. To say that Ciel I is shocked is an understatement. Tyrael, to her credit, is apologetic, but then she asks her to break up with Duval for her sake. I mean, I think that Duval is a total jerk, but the audacity of this woman. Ciel I can't believe that the heroine has fallen in love with her trash of a fiancé. Right then, Duval enters the room harshly, and Tyrael instantly goes to embrace him out of distress. The guy then looks at Ciel I as if she is at fault. How can he look like that when they are the ones having an affair? His shamelessness is next level. Duval then announces that he wants to break off their engagement. Meanwhile, Tyrael still insists that they remain friends. Ciel I, on the other hand, can't understand the crazy situation she is suddenly in. That night, Ciel I is unable to fall asleep, recalling the distressing events earlier. She thought that getting close to Tyrael might help her avoid execution, but she did not expect this twist at all. Why are all the men around her cheaters? She has experienced a similar situation back in her own world when her partner shamelessly cheated on her. Unexpectedly, a letter appears on her desk. Turns out it's from the Crown Prince asking for her help with his engagement. She has no choice but to tell him the truth, informing him that his prospective fiancé is currently involved with her fiancé. The enchanted letter instantly reveals a reply, telling her that the palace is now discussing the engagement. She is now even more confused because everyone's giving her different stories. Duval and Tyrael want to be engaged with each other, but then the palace now insists on pushing through with the engagement. Why don't they discuss this among themselves instead? Ciel I refuses to put up with this and is treated like a fool. So she writes a letter to the Crown Prince telling him to have an affair with her to get back on their cheating fiancés. After all, since everyone is allowed to be wild, then why can't she? She regrets her decision just a week after writing the letter. The prince is yet to give a reply, and now she fears that she'll get arrested for lèse-majesté, aka offending the sovereign power any time now. Poor Ciel I. But then again, people just don't straight out ask someone to have an affair with them. She has a full-blown breakdown because of her recklessness. Since she did not have a proper meal due to her ever-growing problems, May, her loyal maid, is worried about her. She sheds tears for her, assuming that her miss is distraught because of Duval and Tyrael's treachery. Ciel I tries to calm her down, but the maid is feeling vindictive on her behalf. May declares that she has found a way to annihilate those two. She shows her the emblem of the Ciel Love Manipulation Guide, an organization that exposes affairs. She drags Ciel I to a shady part of town to meet with the so-called leader of the guild. The master enthusiastically greets them with bright smiles. However, he insists that only the client gets to enter. When they enter, it is revealed that Ciel I is the true master of the guild, and she is not the least bit happy that the existence of her organization has been leaked far and wide. Ciel I reprimands later, her business partner, for expanding the business without her permission. He reasons that the income is too lucrative, which is why he did it. He is basically sprawled on the ground just to ask for her forgiveness. He even tells her how unfair she is. After all, he did decorate the place using the commission money from the expansion. However, she makes it clear that the only reason she has created this guild is so she can find evidence that Duval is cheating on her and use it to break up with him. Unfortunately, the guild is having a hard time because Duval is a slimy cheater who hides his affair quite skillfully. Even though there are rumors, it is not enough to break up their engagement. But then again, Duval is the one who's asking to cancel the engagement now, so finding evidence is probably not necessary anymore. Still, she wants Later to look for them just to be sure. Later then informs her that a guest has been coming to the guild, and this person is aware that he is not the true master. The mysterious person insists on meeting with her, claiming that someone has asked him to have a revenge affair with her. He has something to ask about that matter. At this point, Ciel I begins speculating that this person might be the Crown Prince. After all, what are the odds that someone has also suggested a revenge affair to someone else? But then she convinces herself that the Crown Prince would never set foot in a place like this. She decides to meet this person, but not without proper precautions. She uses a transformation artifact as well as a mask, so her voice and appearance will be unrecognizable. The first thing she notes when she opens the door is the distinctive scent of roses. The second thing is the gorgeous appearance of the man who comes to see her. Even with a mask, the guy definitely stands out, especially because of his golden eyes. The man then insists that she remove her mask. Taking offense, Ciel I threatens to leave, but the man stops her. He apologizes, saying that he merely wants to confirm her identity. The man then reveals the reason he is there, pretending that he is asking for a friend. As the man speaks of his friend's situation, the more suspicious Ciel I is that it is her own story. This can only mean that this man is the Crown Prince. He is here to ask for advice because of the letter she sent. The prince then tells her that his friend doesn't actually have a fiancé. When she hears this, she realizes that the person before her is not the prince, for she is pretty sure that the Crown Prince is engaged with Tyrael. She calms down and listens as the person speculates if the person who asks for the affair might have some special feelings for him. He keeps forgetting that he is supposed to ask for a friend. Knowing that she'll get paid by answering such an easy question, she plasters her capitalist smile on and tells him that the young lady thinks highly of him. With a firm resolve, the man declares that he will accept the lady's proposal. Suddenly, Ciel I feels envious of the lady in question. Seems like her crush has accepted her rather unconventional proposal. Ciel I asks for the girl's name, but the man suddenly exudes a strange aura and orders her to stand up. Ciel I's body, for some reason, feels strange, and she does what he asks. He commands her to forget everything he said that day, and she instantly agrees. But then he comes closer, intending to remove her mask. Desperate to keep her identity a secret, Ciel I manages to get control of her body and steps away from the man. However, she seems to have forgotten what had occurred just moments ago. Despite his surprise that she manages to get away from his ability, the mysterious man simply bids her farewell. Days later, Ciel I is forced to stay at the guild and work just to evade May's questions regarding her appointment with the guild. She explains to Later that she can't very well reveal the truth to May because for her, as for everyone else, Ciel I Labyrinth is simply a weak girl inside and out. After laughing at her expense, he points out the doll she is making, accusing her of cursing someone with it. However, the doll is not what he thinks it is. It is actually an adorable replica of her favorite character in the novel, Crown Prince Renos himself. Later on, she goes shopping for some necessary items that would allow her to travel conveniently. She feels like everything is too late now. There will definitely be a love triangle between Tyrael, Duval, and Renos. Before she gets involved, she plans to leave the Empire. Surprisingly, a guest has been waiting for her when she arrives back home. That person is none other than Crown Prince Renos himself. Ciel I tries to calm herself, inviting the prince to the living room. Renos then charmingly gives her a bouquet of flowers. When they are settled, the prince notes that despite not having an appointment, she graciously received him. She can't very well tell him that she knows that he is the Crown Prince, so she argues that someone who brought flowers could not be dangerous. The prince then comments that she seems to be planning for a long trip based on the things she has bought. The man then declares that he has come to accept her proposal. This gives Ciel I the opportunity to greet him properly. He apologizes for not inviting her to the palace immediately, and she does her best to flatter him. Ciel I then formally introduced herself, and he did the same. Unexpectedly, he leans closer, gently taking hold of some strands of her hair. He declares that from then on, they are to be lovers. After using his charms for a second, the prince suddenly turns shy. Ciel I is quite bewildered that he can be both. Pick a lane, Renos. It's unfair for our hearts if you are charming and cute at the same time. Going back to business, Ciel I begins discussing her fiancé's betrayal. She clarifies that the contract has a clear purpose. Until she manages to break up with Duval, they will keep the contract. She asks him for his condition in turn, questioning if he wants a way to win his fiancée back. However, his entire mood changes, asking her what will happen if he doesn't actually have a fiancée. Reasonably, she answers that if he doesn't have one, then he doesn't have to sign a contract with her. This makes the prince think for a second, and then promptly tells her to forget what he said just then. He declares that he accepts her contract and that he will maintain a relationship with her until his fiancée returns to him, and so the two of them are in agreement. They even had to try out the limit to how close they could get to each other. Ciel I is definitely flustered, especially when up close and personal with someone as attractive as the crown prince. Oh, she is so lucky! Sometime later, in Rima's salon, a bunch of ladies are doing what rich and pampered women do when they get together. They gossip. The most prominent topic of the time, of course, is the affair between Duval and Tyrael. Their gossiping becomes even more intense when the couple in question enters the salon, flaunting their relationship for all to see. The ladies are outraged that Lady Puratina has betrayed Ciel I this way, especially since she is able to enter society because of Lady Labyrinth. What makes the drama go up a notch is when Ciel I arrives at the salon as well, with Renos. Things are about to go down! The two couples come face to face, and Duval has the audacity to look angry. The nerve of this man! When the gentlemen leave the ladies alone in the salon, Tyrael tries to talk to Ciel I. Unfortunately, a lady swoops in to take Ciel I away from that awkward conversation. Ha! That's what you get! You betray her, but you still want to be friends with her? What is wrong with you? When Ciel I is asked who is the man she was with, she lies that he is someone she met at the temple. After that day, she and Renos are inseparable. Since she manages to trample on trashy Duval's pride, the man is definitely angry. However, this is not enough to break up their engagement. She needs to strike harder. With that thought in mind, she requests for the prince to go with her to the clothing store. The next day, May is going on a rant about the man Ciel I is apparently dating. She insists that her lady deserves someone better than some stranger. As they make their way downstairs, May declares loudly that only someone rich and handsome deserves Ciel I, the crown prince in particular. Surprisingly, the prince is already waiting for her downstairs, and he has heard May's tirade. She tries to stop May from speaking, for she still hasn't noticed the prince, but it's too late. Rather than be annoyed, our handsome prince smiles charmingly and introduces himself as the prince in front of the ladies. In the carriage, the prince notes that her maid loves Ciel I so much. He looks incredibly amused by what happened that morning. Meanwhile, Ciel I is totally embarrassed, asking him to forgive May. The prince assures her that he did not take offense. He is honestly quite pleased that he is the only one who could possibly reach the standard that is considered suitable for Ciel I. With her top-tier social skills, she once again flatters Renos, declaring him the most handsome guy in the world. She is so shameless with her compliments. The prince ends up being embarrassed by her words instead. She then giggles upon seeing his cute side. They eventually arrive at the clothing store, and the way they are received only incenses her suspicion even more. The owner is clearly terrified that she has arrived without notice, which means that the rumors are true. Duval is in the store to buy a dress for Tyrael. She insists on entering the store. With a smug look on her face, she vows to strike hard. When Duval finds the two of them standing awfully close, the guy reacts like he's been wronged. He becomes even more enraged when Ciel I admits that Renos is indeed her lover. Resigned, Duval admits defeat, saying that he'll do whatever she wants. He then proceeds to declare that Ciel I is the only one he loves. Oh, this pathetic man is such a two-faced lying cheater! Naturally, Ciel I calls Duval crazy. When Renos comments about the maddening situation, Duval gets in his face, telling him to get lost. Of course, Reno does not back down, challenging Duval even more. Fortunately, Ciel I interferes before the situation escalates. She even notes just how good the prince is when it comes to acting. OMG, girl, that man just wants to defend your honor. He is definitely not acting. Suddenly, a voice calls out to her. It's Tyrael. She notices that the dress her ex-friend is wearing is for engagement. She can't believe that Duval has taken Tyrael to pick out an engagement dress at the same time he confessed to her. What a total jerk! Tyrael is quite curious about who Renos is. Ciel I is quite surprised that the two of them do not know each other. She assumes that the engagement between them was done without them meeting one another. The prince takes hold of Ciel I's hand and introduces himself as Ciel I's lover. Angrily, Duval grabs Ciel I's arm, demanding to speak with her in private. Renos is quick to hold her to him, telling Duval that he can't do whatever he wants with someone else's lover. Duval tells him to get lost once again, shouting that Ciel I is his fiancée. Ciel I then points out that Tyrael is standing right there wearing an engagement dress for God's sake. Ciel I even tells Tyrael that Duval confessed to her only moments ago. Tyrael begins weeping, asking Duval for the truth. Of course, Duval denies everything, assuring her that she's the only one he loves. He is making it seem like Ciel I is a liar. After that whole ordeal, Ciel I and Renos are about to ride the carriage. She tells him how tired she is, but still, she feels like she has won. He asks her how she ends up with Duval, and she replies that it's because of family business. The prince worries that Duval will not let her go, but she reveals that he is the one who suggested canceling the engagement. She even has a recording of it. Ciel I is then curious why the engagement between the prince and Tyrael has been done when they've never met before. The prince gives his timid answer, but she persists. She asks him how he felt upon meeting Tyrael earlier. In the novel, his heart is supposed to beat fast when he first sees her. He falls in love that way. To her surprise, Renos confesses that his heart beats fast because he is with her. He tells her that it has been his pleasure acting as her lover. She replies that it is her honor as well. She assures him that their charade will be over soon enough. At this point, Ciel I is confident that the breakup will proceed smoothly. Unfortunately, things are more complicated than they seem. Later on, Duval barges into her office, telling her that he is no longer willing to break off the engagement. Ciel I cannot even fathom Duval Esset and his changing views about their divorce. She thought he had his rational moments, but ultimately, he's just one big baby. A stupid one at that. Ciel I then reminds him that despite his newfound reluctance on their divorce, they already have an agreement. What's more, she also has enough evidence for it, so by law, they're allowed to call off their marriage. She then proceeds to play the recording on her magical tool, showing Duval and Miss Puertina in his arms, clearly saying he wants a divorce from Ciel I. That's what's called a checkmate move for Ciel I. But suddenly, Duval grabs the recording and smashes it to the ground. Fortunately, it seems that Ciel I is well prepared, saying that she has plenty of them, even showing him another one. Duval isn't deterred, as he even offers to have Ciel I's lover taken care of if he leaves her. When she tries to retort back, Duval declares that she is his fiancée. Ciel I takes this in and immediately starts laughing at him. Unfortunately, Duval resorts to blackmail, questioning whether or not Ciel I's parents, who got out of poverty because of their marriage, would allow their divorce. But with much confidence, Ciel I stands her ground, saying she can't pay back whatever sum of money they're talking about. She gives him an ultimatum, 3 days to finish writing up the divorce papers. She then calls her maid to escort the guest out, effectively stopping the conversation. However, Duval still leaves with a threat. Anyway, May rushes forward to clean the rune magical tool because of all the glass shards. She also relays that no answers have come from Count Vulpin. That's troubling, considering Ciel I has asked the Count to sign the divorce papers. May then gives her a letter from Lidse. The contents of it prompt Ciel I to immediately go to the promenade to catch the Count. But she isn't alone. Turns out the Crown Prince insisted on joining her on her trip. Ciel I apologizes since they've been waiting for an hour, thinking Prince Renos is having a hard time because of her. She makes it clear that he didn't have to come, but Renos says it might be dangerous. Even though she only needs a signature? The reason why Count Vulpin's signature is needed is because the officiant of the wedding must sign the divorce papers for it to be complete. Renos warns the lady to be careful, but later on, he suddenly grabs her hands, asking Ciel I if she likes candy. Turns out the prince noticed a cotton candy shop nearby. The prince reveals that he hasn't had candy, so Ciel I decides to prank him a little by telling him to wash his cotton candy. She observes him pouting like a cute little child, and she playfully says the prince has a cute side. Their moment gets interrupted, though, when they spot Count Valten nearby. Night falls, and Count Valten cautiously walks through the streets. He begins to think that he's being followed, but he decides to dismiss it. That is, until he runs into Lady Ciel I just in front of his path. Ciel I greets him, noting how Valten has been avoiding her. The Count then thinks it's wise to run away, but he gets blocked by Renos himself. And so the three find themselves in a room where Ciel I keeps questioning the still silent Count. Valten seems to be wary of Renos. Ciel I notices this and assures him that he cannot escape, so he might as well talk with her. Unfortunately, the first thing that comes out of Valten's mouth is his refusal to sign the divorce papers, fearing a quarrel will arise with Marquis Duval. Ciel I then questions whether or not Duval had bribed him, but the Count gives her a cryptic answer, saying all he hopes is that she and Duval can mend their relationship. That sounds a little bit like gaslighting, don't you think? Anyway, Ciel I takes this as the last straw for negotiations, and she showcases her powers, likely from being a member of the Labyrinth's family, saying that if Valten won't have a conversation, then she'll be happy to oblige. Ciel I has powers? Powers that emanate a dark and ominous aura? Renos gets alerted with the sudden development, calling out to Ciel I, but she keeps her focus on the Count. Poor Valten can only shout for help as dark hands start reaching for him, as Ciel I merely fixes her gaze at him. Seriously, what is with this sudden villain vibe? Fortunately, Renos is there to shake her out of it, though he's mainly concerned about her fainting. Valten cowers at Ciel I's abuse of power, but she can't even respond, dizzy from exerting her skills. And so, Renos convinces her to leave, since they can't pry anything out of the Count anyways. Still, Ciel I declares that she'll find a way to complete the divorce. Actually, there's no other way if Count Valten doesn't sign, something Ciel I admits as she plays with her Renos doll the next day. Lucky for her, her assistant from her guild arrives, bearing good news. It was another case about a man cheating on his wife, and Ciel I is surprised to find out about Count Valten. What's more interesting is that his mistress is Layla Esset, Duval's sister. Later even managed to acquire evidence, another magical recording of Valten and Layla together. Ciel I remarks that her way ahead might be easier than she thought, right before praising later as the best VP of her guild. The upper class of society seems to be having a social event in a museum, an art gallery credited to none other than Count Duval Esset, apparently a man with a great love for art, who's there with his sister Layla. While older brother is being praised for his support of artists, Layla spots Count Valten in the crowd, causing the man to wave back with a hint of shyness. All the while, his wife observes her husband's behavior. Affairs are happening all around! Out of nowhere, a stranger approaches the rather dejected Countess Valten. He whispers something in her ears, and her eyes flash in shock. He hands her a magical recording tool, and it opens right in front of her. A projection of her husband, Count Valten, and Layla Esset immediately starts playing, with the man professing his love to his mistress. The cheater even planned their honeymoon! Of course, Count Valten and Layla are the first to react, just as the entire crowd starts recognizing and figuring out their love affair. Count Valten tries to reason first with his wife, saying they'll talk in private, but she runs away from him in tears. All the while, a smiling Ciel I happily considers if it's her turn to act in her wonderful plan. What a rather satisfying turn of events! Meanwhile, Countess Valten is understandably in shambles about the recent confirmation of her doubts. Accepting her relationship with the Count is over. She plans to prepare for a divorce when Lady Labyrinth, that's Ciel I for those that don't know, calls out to her. The two decide to talk over a cup of tea, and Ciel I, as if she wasn't the one to orchestrate the whole fiasco, pretends she's hearing the news of the Count's affair for the first time, just like most of the upper-class society present at the party. Countess Valten admits that she wants to leave her husband. The poor thing has fallen to gambling and drinking because she couldn't act on it. Worse, as Ciel I notices, the Count also seems to be hitting his wife. Unfortunately, the Count is adamant about not letting his wife go, and it's not out of love or devotion. The only reason is that if the Count divorces her, then he cannot continue to keep the title, meaning his social standing would collapse. Count Valten would go back to being Nix, his commoner name before being married into the upper social class. After listening to her story, Ciel I decides to advise the grieving Countess Valten. In her situation, she is the most suitable to step in and help. The Countess asks her why she's so willing to help, despite the situation not being involved. Though Ciela's doing it for the signature initially, she admits that she herself knows about the feeling of betrayal. And so, she asks the Countess to listen carefully. Count Duval's face scrunches with annoyance at the recent turn of events. He's pondering about what made Ciela change and how getting her attention isn't enough anymore. But more importantly, he's extremely vexed at the sudden appearance of Ciela's lover, which he doesn't know is the Crown Prince. Anyway, back to the present, the Count shouts in disbelief at his sister and Count Valten about their recent slip-up. Looks like all the cheaters have decided to convene. Layla instead begins reminding her brother of his promises, that they won't have any problems, and how Count Valten's allegedly stupid wife won't do anything about it. Duval tells her to shut up, as he's getting a headache thinking about all of this. Of course, the divorce will be bad, but not because of concern for his friend, but because it removes Valten of his Count status. And that is very bad for their business. So Duval states that they should act. If the recording crystal were to fall to government hands, then Count Valten's fall is ensured. His move is then to figure out a plan to protect Count Valten. Getting an idea, Layla beams as she shares it with the group. The cheaters' only exclusive group, I should say. Getting back on track, Layla suggests that they should frame Countess Valten with the same crime they're being accused of. If she's having an affair, then she herself will be in trouble. Count Valten thinks about it, initially pondering how Arya, Countess Valten's real name, stays in her room all day. Then a sudden thought hits him. She may not have a lover, but they can make her have one. A malicious smile creeps up as he suggests his trap. Meanwhile, Lady Arya and Ciela have just finished drafting their agreement papers. If the former would gain her countess status after her divorce, then she would sign the latter's own divorce papers. With that, Ciela asks Arya to stay for at least 2 weeks, reasoning that something bad might happen. Later that night, Ciela remarks how tiring her day was and how she seems to be missing something, only to find out that it was Renos. The Crown Prince is a little absent from the story lately. Turns out she's feeling a little bit guilty for all the things he's done for her. Anyway, she was thinking that she'll grant Renos a favor when a letter enters her room. It seems to be from her enemies, though it leaves her with little concern. Day after day, Ciela notices the positive changes separating with her husband had on Arya. However, according to the letter she received today, trouble will find them. Ciela holds Arya's hand, reassuring her that this is the Labyrinth family's castle, and she is its owner. Ciela again with the heroine with villainous vibes. As night falls on the Labyrinth castle, 2 rough-looking men emerge from the cover of the trees. Slowly but surely, they make their way into the castle through a window without so much as a sound. Oh, surely this must be Count Valten's evil plan. The men eventually find their way into a room, possibly where Arya is supposed to sleep. They see a figure in bed underneath the sheets. With a smile on his face, one of them threw back the covers while the other brandished ropes, only to find the bed empty. Suddenly, a voice calls out to them, asking if they're looking for something. They turn, and there she is, Ciela, standing menacingly with the moonlight against her back. If I didn't know any better, she might have been the main villain of the story. She starts toying with the trespassers. Treating them as kids, she warns them not to act like that at night, then suddenly shifts the mood with threats, saying that perhaps the 2 only went there to die. And it becomes even more darker because Ciela's powers start manifesting. The intruders were right to flee, but even running isn't enough to escape. Darkness envelops them, right as they feel something grabbing them. They only had a brief chance to recognize the Labyrinth family's power, as Ciela declares they're going to have fun. You know, they probably wouldn't have fun, Ciela. Moments pass, and the 2 awake to find themselves in an unfamiliar place. They argue about the misinformation on Ciela being weak, but they don't have enough time to do so, as various traps begin springing to life. They run to a gradually narrowing hallway, but they get distracted from a noise coming from above, and that's when they got hit. Screams start emanating, but from an orb-like sphere, which she calls Labyrinth, generated by Ciela's powers. Ciela herself, though, is still preoccupied at how Arya is the one being attacked when it's her husband that cheated. Anyway, she's got more to her powers. Ciela utters the word Cerberus, and the Hellhound appears out of nowhere with its middle head even answering yes, which creeps out Ciela. Turns out the Labyrinth family are descended from warriors that defeated the evil dragon with their special skills of being able to use evil souls. Use as in to command, with the evil souls obeying them and only them. The only drawback from their power is that it consumes too much for the person, weakening their body and brain. It's the reason for Ciela's sickness, and if she's not careful, that power might consume her. Anyway, she had Cerberus pull out the intruders from her Labyrinth orb. The two actually didn't crack after Ciela first questioned them, but a threat to another trip inside the Labyrinth did the trick. Meanwhile, Count Vultan is already sipping wine, thinking the task he set was already accomplished. He had the audacity to think Arya's actions caused him to take such dirty methods. However, a group of men suddenly burst forth looking for him. He had been placed under arrest for various crimes, and a teary Arya accompanied by Ciela watches tearfully from outside. Finally, Arya's plight has ended. Arya declares everything to be over, finally, but Ciela stops her. This just isn't revenge enough for what Count Vultan has done, saying that they should punish those who cheat. Meanwhile, the man in question, Count Nyx Vultan, or should I say, former Count, finds himself imprisoned all the way for himself. He laments about his current situation, one that's well-deserved, I should say, and even curses one of the women who put him behind bars. His silence and solitude gets interrupted, however, when Arya comes to visit him. Nyx is prideful enough to assume she's there to help him. He even calls her his wife all endearingly. Yucks! Nyx asks her for the bail money, saying it's his way out. Unfortunately for him, he doesn't even have money now. Nyx stops talking, though he notices Arya being silent. The first thing that Arya says when she speaks is that they should divorce. The man tries reaching out to her from behind bars, but she's adamant she doesn't want to live with him anymore. Arya gives him a written draft of their divorce papers, needing only his signature. The title of Countess, the castle, and all the properties will remain with Arya, and Nyx gets the gold mine. As soon as he hears this, Nyx snatches the document, eagerly wanting to sign. He thinks that Arya is making a foolish decision since she's basically giving him her source of wealth. After he signs the paper, Nyx's true personality begins to surface. He doesn't even hand the document over to Arya, but he lets it fall to the ground. With a very smug face, he declares he doesn't need her anymore since he retains ownership of the gold mine. That confidence is short-lived, though, as Ciela walks into the room. Nyx thinks he's got the best of Arya, but Ciela reveals he's now in huge debt. Turns out, Arya borrowed a lot of money, and the mine is closed and about to be sold anyway. Nyx really thought he finessed Arya out of all of her wealth. His face turns into that of a grotesque, sniveling man as he realizes his situation. With their business with the former Count done, Ciela says to Arya that they should leave. All the while, Nyx's shouts and cries for help to his ex-wife echoes around the prison. Back outside, Arya thanks Ciela for her help, and the latter wishes the former to truly find her happiness. Their joyous moment is cut short, though, when suddenly, Ciela collapses. When she awakes, she's already lying in her own bed with her maids tending after her. She is still very tired, though, and she doesn't even get up from her bed. As night falls, a shadow of a dragon is seen near Ciela. Ciela gets awakened from her sleep by a sudden noise. She also notices a cold breeze, though she's unsure if she ever opened a window. Suddenly, she notices a shadow creeping up to her, but this one's that of a human form, and is shocked to see the Crown Prince Renos of all people in her room. Like a kid caught in the act, Renos immediately begins explaining, saying he hadn't intended to enter her room, but he ended up doing it anyway. He doesn't even care that Ciela's still rubbing her eyes from just waking up. Speaking of Ciela, she questions whether she's dreaming right now since she's been thinking about Renos the entire day, and so she asks him to sit near her. Being the shy guy he is, Renos refuses, despite Ciela asking for a second time, saying he only visited in the first place to check up on her, and now he has to go. She, on the other hand, gets pissed that he seems to be disobedient despite being in her dreams. She actually thinks she's in a dream, lol. Ciela gets what she wants, though, and Renos sits down for a moment, although it's like 6 feet apart from each other. After a moment of silence, Renos again begins to explain how he ended up in her room, saying he truly has no ill intent. He did ask if she's surprised by him being there, to which she replies yes to, since it's like the 3rd floor of the castle and he did appear out of nowhere. Thankfully, Ciela credits it as being part of her dreams, and Renos takes this as an invitation to tell the truth, saying he flew up to enter her room. Ciela asks if Renos can fly, and so she begins prying about his supposed ability, even asking if he's a magician. When Renos finds it difficult to explain, Ciela decides to do a little bit of manipulation, faking that she's getting sick again and coughing. The concerned Renos had no choice but to oblige in order to keep the supposedly sick Ciela from talking further. Brother, you just got played! Renos reveals that he can transform into a dragon, and Ciel again convinces him to transform. But it's not the gruesome kind of dragon that he'll become according to the novel, but a rather small, cute, babyish black dragon. He even follows every instruction from Ciel, the cute thing. Ciel eventually gets tired, so she and the dragon lay in bed. She asks him to stay with her through the night, and Renos the dragon obliges. The next morning, though, she's alone in bed, but there's a crease in her bed indicating someone had been there with her. In the southern regions, Ciela's parents enjoy their 2-week vacation. Just then, her father declares their intention to arrange her marriage upon their return. Although her mother, desiring her son to inherit the Count's wealth, approves of this decision, their self-congratulatory moment is interrupted by a letter from their daughter. The letter reveals that she has divorced Duval. Meanwhile, Tyrael paces happily at the thought that the office finally approved Ciela's divorce papers. Thinking that there won't be any obstacles to their trashy love, she visits Duval's office to talk about the engagement party. However, Duval isn't even happy to see her barging in without permission. When she starts to open up about their engagement, Duval finally shows his rotten intentions. According to this crappy man, he just used Tyrael to get Ciela's attention. In other words, Tyrael was just a mere tool for his selfish desires. Tyrael falls down to her knees, questioning Duval's confession to her. Geez, I don't even have an ounce of pity to defend this snake. Out of desperation to be with a trash bin, Tyrael asks if she can be Ciela's replacement. However, Duval clearly declares that she definitely can never be Ciela. Of course, a rotten trash like her can never become a precious gem. Tyrael feels ultimately shattered and defeated, but she can't just sit and fall into miserable despair. At the same time, Ciela and Renos are walking outside the mansion, him reaching for her forehead to check if she still has a fever. Suddenly, she remembers that they met in her dreams, where he also touched her forehead with his little paws. Just at the thought of it, Ciela's face blushes, blaming the weather for being hotter than usual. Also, she is finally free from being betrothed to a narcissistic man. Given that, she's happy to meet Renos in a worry-free manner. This time, Renos bravely confesses that he wants her to stay close to him. Ciela's face can no longer hide how her heart races. Seizing the moment, Renos presents her with a bracelet as a parting gift. Despite her happiness at receiving such a thoughtful gesture, Ciela recognizes that it's not the time to revel in happiness with someone new, especially after just getting divorced. So she changes the topic, asking about Renos' relationship with Tyrael. Renos nervously lies about it just so he can extend the duration of their contract. Ciela promises to do her best so he can renew his engagement with Tyrael, believing that the novel's course won't change. At this moment, Renos gladly hands her an invitation to the upcoming Crimson Moon Festival, where, according to the novel, Renos makes a significant appearance. A crimson moon appears only twice a year, in the summer and winter. They say that it can awaken the power of the evil dragon. That's why the imperial family would always offer a sacrifice, wishing that the dragon would just stand by. At the same time, a festival is held to reassure the people of their safety. However, this year will be different because Renos will transform into a dragon and destroy the whole area. That's when Tyrael's divine power comes into action to turn Renos back to normal. However, Tyrael is madly in love with Duval and not with Renos. Ciela finds herself in a state of panic, even thinking if he'll be better imprisoned at this time. Clearly, she can't afford to let the imperial state be destroyed. But even if she isn't vocal with her worries, Renos understands her as if he can read her mind. With such reassuring words and a warm smile, Renos asks if she can accompany him during the Crimson Festival. Oh, how can she resist that gentle bearing? Days later, Ciela finds herself accompanying Renos in town, celebrating the Crimson Festival together. Turns out, she made an embroidery in exchange for the bracelet he gave to her last time. The way they blush towards each other makes me want to fall in love. Still, her worries linger even with his assurance about the medicine wrapped around his belly to suppress his transformation. Just then, the Crimson Moon special show about the legend of the evil dragon commences. At this time, she runs towards the opposite direction, fearing that the show will turn out. However, they still end up watching it with everyone else, and the story goes like this. Once upon a time, the evil dragon had a lover, an evil woman, who wanted to control over the power with the help of the dragon's power. However, the people found out about her plan, so they killed her to protect the peace in the world. After losing his lover, the evil dragon lost his mind and therefore ruined the empire. In the end, the 5 warriors gathered to punish the evil dragon. Right before he died, he left a deadly curse. As a revenge for his lover, his curse would forever be with the imperial family. Ciel I realizes that the curse originated 1,000 years ago, prompting her to ponder if the evil dragon had loved the woman for a millennium, patiently awaiting her reincarnation. Strangely, she finds herself envious of the evil woman, contemplating how it would feel to receive an enduring love from such a mythical creature. Just then, the scene shifts, and Ciel I finds herself in an unfamiliar place, experiencing what seems like the touch of a dragon. Unsettled by the exaggerated sensation, she implores the supposed dragon to stop, only to discover, to her embarrassment, that it was Renos' hand and not that of a dragon. As it turns out, Ciel I had fallen asleep, and Renos, being considerate, had caught her hand to prevent her from falling. Surprised by his own unexpected reaction, Renos didn't anticipate her being bothered so much by the simple act. Ciel I hastily apologizes and clarifies that it was merely a dream and not about him. Later that afternoon, Renos playfully teases her about napping during the show. This time, Ciel I confesses her envy of the evil woman and realizes that she had misunderstood the woman's intentions. The evil woman didn't seek world domination, she simply harbored genuine love for a dragon. Worries fill his eyes, and just when he's about to say something important, Duval steps up and interrupts him. How did this trash get out from the bins? Duval boldly asks for a talk with Renos because it seems like his plan was ruined because of our majestic crown prince. Duval grabs his shoulders, thinking he can shake him, but no. The audacity of this trashy man to touch him! In front of Ciel I, Renos calmly handles the situation, assuring her of his plan so she doesn't have to worry about anything. Ciel I believes in him, and so Renos and Duval proceed to head into the forest to talk. He doesn't know what danger awaits him. Deep in the forest, Duval starts babbling about how penniless Renos is, to the point where Ciel I has to buy clothes for him. Who's gonna tell this guy? Just then, Duval reveals that it got quite troublesome for him that someone is meddling with his plans, and so he proposes to give Renos money just so he can stay away from Ciel I, further explaining how Renos isn't suitable for their status. Renos, who keeps silent all the time, finally makes his move from the unbearable nonsense. He reveals that he can't let anyone have Ciel I because of his desire to be with her. As Renos' eyes turn crimson, mirroring the moon's, Duval falls down to his knees, suffocated at Renos' mere look upon him. Renos further implies that he can kill him immediately, but he has to be patient, considering Ciel I's fragile heart. If she'll be sad for Duval's death, then that would only spoil the mood, and so he gives him a chance to get lost before he can do something dangerous. With the dragon's ability to hypnotize people, Duval returns home with no memory of what has happened that day. Just as when Renos thinks that the problem is solved, he suddenly feels a throbbing pain in his chest after using some power. As he's about to drink the medicine, something terrible happens and the vial breaks on the ground. Meanwhile, Ciel I has no problem with what Duval might do because, after all, he's just a trashy villain. However, she's still very concerned. As soon as she realizes that there's no sound at all and no Duval yelling out, she rushes to the forest to look for Renos. Just then, she can't utter a word when she finds his clothes on the floor with no trace of him. However, a shadow of a huge dragon looms over her. As she embraces herself from the dragon's wrath, she hears a familiar sound. As she turns around, Renos transforms into a cute little harmless dragon. And that, guys, is what we call Attack of the Cutie. The servants find Ciel I holding a dirty man's clothes while rushing to her room. They think that something fishy has happened between their lady and her date. Inside, Ciel I unfolds the cloth, revealing a little Renos in his cute dragon form. She hands him a pen and a paper to make their communication understandable. Look at that cute little paw holding the pen! How can this baby harm the Empire? At that moment, Ciel I's face registers pure shock as she discovers that a kiss has the power to restore Renos to his human form. I see what you're trying to do here, Renos. Renos shyly responds to her inquiries about the matter. However, this is not the main problem. Turns out he wasn't able to drink his medicine because he transformed into a dragon immediately. Also, he doesn't want her to write a letter to the Imperial Castle. No one knows, even the Emperor, that he can keep his consciousness in dragon form. All they know is the ones written in the books, which are all wrong. However, his difference is still a secret. As long as there is no Crimson Moon, he can change his form freely. Aw, that cute little paw doesn't want to write anymore. And so Ciel offers him to stay for a while until he turns back into his human form. The little guy is so shocked. Relax, cute guy. It doesn't mean you'd be living together. Abruptly, May knocks on the door and swings it open. Fortunately, Renos quickly employs his hypnotic abilities to make May believe he's merely a winged lizard, not a dragon. Reacting swiftly, he gently slaps her hand with his tail as soon as May attempts to touch him. But when it comes to Ciel, he is as gentle as a feather. Soon after May leaves, Ciel teaches him signs so he won't be writing anymore. In the guest room, Ciel tucks him in bed, to which he cutely suggests that she should share the bed with him. Regardless of his cuteness, Ciel doesn't give up to temptation. The following day, as Ciel is about to prepare breakfast for Renos, distressing news arrives. Her parents were greatly enraged by her divorce, and if she won't reorganize it, she will be terminated. Later that day, Ciel has a rough time sorting out her problem. She vents out how her family is doing well enough without the Esset family's help, questioning as to why her parents still want to sell her to them. Also, she can't be fooled anymore. She knows very well that they want to pass the position of heir to her brother, Gerald. Still, she can't give up. That's why she has to work like crazy to earn a lot of money. Well, it's not like her family knows about her guild. Just then, Ciel starts explaining how she thought she was improving and doing well, but ended up returning to her starting point again in an instant, thinking that all she ever did turned out in vain. Renos asks for her hand and tells her not to be sad because going back to square one isn't a bad thing at all. It may be a sign that another opportunity is about to come, and who knows, it might be a chance to make up for everything she missed. Ciel, deeply touched with his words, notices that he keeps yawning. However, Renos doesn't want to go back to his room. Instead, he wants them to sleep together. This time, Ciel can no longer resist his cuteness, and so that night, they sleep together. However, Renos gets up, grabs a pen and paper, and looks at her one more time. In the letter, he promises to return soon when she needs him. That morning, Ciel wakes up without Renos in sight. She thought he wasn't the type who'd just disappear without any explanation, leaving her full of worries and strangely upset about the situation. But at least he properly bid his farewell in the form of a letter. Day after day, Ciel only misses him more, wishing that he would have told her of his return. Still, the day of the Sapphire Moon Festival Flower Imperial Party arrives, and Renos is still out of her sight. There is even no letter of invitation from him. Ciel has to make an excuse of his absence to May, who immediately judges him as someone completely unqualified for her lady. Ciel herself has no interest in going to the party, but May dresses her up well, which makes her the head turner of the party given her elegance and outstanding beauty. Oh, I hope she'll see him at the party. As soon as she enters the party, the hall fills with ill rumors about her divorce. However, Ciel isn't affected at all. In fact, she's looking forward to turning the tables pretty soon. Suddenly, someone introduces a duke named Ashleta Abshelkte. God, it's rather chaotic than Duval's mindset. Ciel can't remember a man like him, but upon seeing him, everyone bows their heads to pay respect. He has dark hair with red eyes that look like a crimson moon. However, he goes directly towards Ciel and asks her to talk for a moment. Outside, the duke asks why she's alone. Ciel reluctantly responds that she's alone by choice. Later on, she confesses that she's supposed to be with someone, but the situation isn't possible for them to meet. The Duke asks for her partner's name. Ciel answers that he's someone who resembles the Duke a lot. Suddenly, the Duke reveals that he was the one who should have been her partner for the night. With his arms around her, he tells her to look at him closely. Ciel is now getting confused. Just who is this man claiming to be her partner for the party anyway? The Duke further explains he had no other choice but to meet her this way. Also, he decided not to hide anything from her anymore and therefore asks her to trust him. In that moment, Ciel catches the familiar scent of the perfume that Renos typically wears. It dawns on her that the Duke is, in fact, Renos himself. Without hesitation, she seizes his collar, expressing her profound worry and sleepless nights because of him. Frustrated, she resorts to hitting him with her hands, but Renos responds by drawing her closer, offering reassurance that they're together now so she doesn't have to worry again. Just as she's about to grab his neck, she pauses at the sudden realization that she almost insulted the imperial family. Worried of the consequences of her actions, she shyly asks if she'll be punished by death. However, Renos just smiles, asking if it's a crime to accuse someone who couldn't sleep because she worries about him. Ciel realizes that Renos somehow changes along with his appearance. Renos somewhat agrees, stating that he always tries to help her in some way, although she can solve her problems on her own. But there's something about when they're together. Everything becomes simpler and safer. He then extends his hand, asking her to proceed inside to the hall to enjoy the party. I just noticed, Renos actually matched his outfit to her pretty dress, OMG! Meanwhile, inside the hall, two noblemen shyly greet Ciel. It's not possible that a lot of men want to greet her because of her elegance and exceptional beauty. However, one of them notices that it isn't Ciel at all. The other man agrees and apologizes for mistaking her as the Ciel they know. Still, the woman isn't even moving to excuse herself. Now they think that she's someone who has lost her mind. It turns out the woman is none other than the trashy traitor who coveted her best friend's fiancé. Tyrael keeps looking for Ciel in the crowd, not minding the nobleman who just talked behind her back. Just then, she spots her target with a handsome man as her escort. With everyone else around, Tyrael keeps acting kind, but one thing's bothering Ciel. Tyrael wears a dress that almost looks like Ciela's. Oh god, as if being a snake isn't enough. Now she's copying Ciela's fashion too? Does she have no original taste? Flashback to where it all began. Tyrael still clearly remembers the day when the rain poured heavily. Along with it, she fell into deep sadness and hunger in the slums. Ever since she was a child, her life was always a nightmare where she couldn't escape from. She didn't know why she ended up like that in the first place. At that moment, she was about to leave everything to escape, but then Ciel came. It was like a miracle that a noblewoman wanted to help her alleviate her situation. After all, Ciel was the one who took her out of the depths of living miserably. She then realized that Ciel was different from others. She exuded confidence, and she maintained a good posture all the time. Also, she had a famous fiancé. It seemed like there was nothing she could ever ask for. Seeing the perfect life Ciel had, which was totally opposite to hers, Tyrael started copying everything Ciel possessed. That's when Tyrael's greed led to the kind of person she is now. But how can she be like Ciel? Why can't she be her? It's simple, girl. A copy will always be a copy, easier to tear and replace than the original. On the other hand, Ciel knows that there is really something wrong with how Tyrael copied her dress. Her ex-friend didn't realize that she actually became a laughingstock looking like that. Tyrael's audacity doesn't stop there. She further asks Ciel's time to talk like they used to. In order to escape the noise from the crowd, criticizing Tyrael's indecent behavior, Ciel agrees to her proposal. Renos volunteers to accompany her to make sure of Ciel's safety, but she assures him that she will be right back after they finish talking. Besides, she can use her power against Tyrael if she plans on harming her. Still, Renos tells her to call him if something bad happens. On the porch, Ciel notices that not only did she copy her dress, but also her jewels. When asked what's going on, Tyrael proudly confesses that she searched for all the stores that Ciel may have purchased from. Knowing that Ciel only bought one dress, Tyrael still feels proud of herself for trying to match their dresses, even asking some praise for all her efforts. Ugh, she's crazier than Duval! Imagine, Ciel rescued her from living a miserable life, and now she has the audacity to ask if she resembles Ciel? How ungrateful! After Tyrael shows off her outfit to Ciel, she instantly feels something is off. It seems like she badly wants to become like her, even to the extent of copying her style. This is evident in the dress Tyrael is wearing, which closely resembles Ciel's. Oh my, that's weird! Tyrael admits that she desperately wants their relationship to go back to the way it used to. She even confesses that everything was her fault and explains that she has already ended things with Lord Esset. She continues to beg for Ciel to give her a chance. However, it is not that easy to forgive and forget. For Ciel, Tyrael is being too much. It's like she's gone crazy. In fact, she is the one who ruined their relationship in the first place by having an affair with her fiancé. I can't believe the audacity of this girl. And now she dares to make things the way they used to. No matter what she says, it is too late to go back. Whether or not she breaks things off with Duval, Ciel has firmly decided that their relationship is over. Upon hearing her final decision, Tyrael feels devastated. She doesn't know what to do with her life now that she's all alone. She continues to cry, hoping that her former friend might change her mind. Despite her pleas, Ciel is done taking care of her. She will no longer clean up her messes. Lastly, she doesn't want to see her again if she continues to say nonsense. As Tyrael attempts to reach her at the edge of the platform, she almost falls to the ground. Luckily, Sir Ray catches her just in time. Now, everything is in chaos, and the news immediately spreads around. He tries to stop Tyrael, but she insists he stay out of it, saying it is a matter just between the girls. Before things get worse, Ciel requests they go back right away. Afterward, Tyrael walks alone as people continue to gossip about the incident. After people heard about what she did to Lady Labyrinth earlier, she has now become the villain in everyone's eyes. Once she finds a secluded spot, she collapses to her knees in devastation. The thought of losing both Lord Esset and Ciel overwhelms her with depression. Now, she feels completely alone and unloved. In her mind, Ciel is the only one who receives love, a situation she deems truly unfair. Before she spirals into despair, a maid approaches, bearing news of an important person seeking to meet her. Upon spotting the pendant on the maid's scarf, she recognizes the mark of the Empress consort. It turns out that the person who wants to meet her is worried about the state she's in. Shortly after, she extends an invitation for Tyrael to accompany her. On the other hand, the evil dragon's resurrection ritual takes place in an uneasy atmosphere. Due to the level of importance, all nobility are expected to attend. During the whole event, Ciel is worried that Tyrael might do something bad again. Fortunately, the ritual ended smoothly without any complications. She didn't encounter her again afterward. Later on, she finds herself alone with Sir Ray by her side, waiting for her carriage. He notices she looks tired from the entire event until now. It's probably because of the incident with Lady Puratina. Admittedly, Ciel is tired, and the shock has yet to wear off. On top of that, she has never seen Tyrael act like that. She feels anxious thinking about what she might do next. Before her carriage arrives, Sir Ray reassures her that everything will be okay. Now that her carriage arrives, she expresses her heartfelt gratitude to him as she prepares to step in. His assistance has meant a great deal to her, and she's truly thankful. Meanwhile, Lord Esset senses the ominous presence of the evil dragon as he's about to return home. Upon arriving at the mansion, May immediately runs to Ciel with worry. Despite trying to pretend that everything's okay, her maid notices something's off. Truthfully, she can't hide her real expression since she can't stop thinking about the incident. To divert the topic, she requests that someone prepare a bath for her. While May is helping her tone down, Ciel keeps thinking about the side of Tyrael that she just encountered earlier. She used to be kind-hearted and the beloved main character. Although she changed the story before, she never imagined things would change this much. There are too many differences from what she knew. Poor Ciel, she's blaming herself. The same goes for Ray, the unknown cursed crown prince who needs to cleanse the curse that had run amok. Previously, when the ruby door was opened, nothing like that happened. He previously stated that everything documented in history is altered. The cause of this change remains a puzzle. Thus, Ciel has been clueless about his statement until now. Looking back, things were strange from the time he easily accepted her request for a revenge affair. He later approached her after assuming a new identity that no one recognized. Now, she is starting to doubt Ray's motives because it's questionable how he's willing to go to such lengths for her when she's only his contractual partner. What could he be hiding? After taking a bath, Ciel proceeds to the study room instead of coming straight to bed. May approaches her, looking like she has something to say. Eventually, she discloses that the Marquis has sent another letter. His arrival is imminent, and if he discovers that she hasn't re-engaged yet, she'll find herself in serious trouble. However, she will not let it happen. She swears to protect her people with her power. The following day, Liathurner arrives at the mansion as requested by Ciel. Getting straight to the point, she initiates a conversation about the guild. It is common knowledge that she founded the guild as a means to break off her engagement, and recently, she achieved success in doing so. However, a problem arises. Her father has no intention of severing ties with the Esset clan. Normally, clan alliances are much like business deals, but to resort to blackmail is no different from selling her off. In truth, Ciel's father would go to any lengths to arrange a marriage in that family. He is unaware of the resentment she holds towards the Esset clan. The dilemma lies in her ability to disclose her possession of a significant sum of money, as it originates from the guild, a clandestine organization. Unfortunately, revealing this would cause problems, as it would raise suspicions about a noblewoman founding such an illicit guild. Ciela's resolution to this is business expansion. While she initially declined Liathner's shady business proposition, Ciela now intends to pursue a business that can be openly discussed and conducted in broad daylight. She seeks a venture that complies with standard business practices. Rather than depending on guild funds, she plans to utilize her personal business income. Shortly after, Ciela orders her to gather all the guild members so she can elaborate on her plan. Once everyone is present, each member is handed a contract. The document showcases an illustration of the new item they will be introducing in their upcoming business venture. The item unveiled is chicken skewers. It's a promising item with favorable prospects. Furthermore, guild members will be tasked with grilling these delectable skewers. In reality, the guild members have never worked a normal job and have only worked jobs that are too embarrassing to talk about. Some of them are quite hesitant about Ciela's new business plan. Meanwhile, some express excitement for a job that is clean and respectable. One member raises a concern about how to attract customers given the abundance of regular chicken skewers available on the streets. Ciela then explains that their business will stand out because they won't be offering just ordinary skewers. First and foremost, Ciela invites everyone to sample the food she has prepared so they can discover the unique chicken skewers they'll be selling. With the first bite, everyone reacts to the unexpected spiciness. Their reaction highlights the key point. There are no other spicy chicken skewers available. Some members joke that the intense spiciness might make people feel like they're breathing fire. This sparks an idea for Ciela, inspiring her to name the skewers the Dragon Series. The next day, the guild members start setting up their chicken skewer stall in the street. So far, everything is accounted for, so there is no issue. While everyone is busy, Liathner is protecting the guild and doing the paperwork. Meanwhile, Ciela happily observes everyone doing their jobs smoothly. Momentarily, Ray approaches her in the guise of a lizard dragon. This way, he wouldn't stand out much, especially since her older brother from the temple and the Duke of Yuzokti are making things complicated. Some weird rumors are totally going around. Upon seeing the menu, Ray feels upset about the name, thinking that they are serving dragon skewers. In Ciela's defense, it's not a real dragon, and she was just thinking of an impressionable name. In order to prove that it is purely chicken, she lets him try it. As he takes a bite, the reaction on his face shows that he loves it. Nearby, a child watches in amusement as a flying lizard enjoys something tasty. Thus, he asks his mother to buy one since he wants to try it as well. Since it's for a child like him, the server provides the lowest level of spice for him. Despite being the mildest option, it still packs a spicy punch. The child complains, so his mother eats it instead. However, even though it's spicy, it still tastes good. The child starts having tantrums as he tries to take the skewer from his mother. This commotion catches other people's attention. As a result, everyone proceeds to the stall to try it. There are 3 levels of spiciness, and a man volunteers to try the hottest one. Meanwhile, Ciela is delighted to see her plan come together. Her primary goal now is to ensure that as many people as possible become aware of Luminous merchants, the first step in her business venture. The sight of a flying lizard eating chicken skewers amuses the children gathered by the stall. They even ask Ciela if it's her pet. Since they are asking for its name, she ends up naming it Piki because of the sound it makes. Ray, who is both the crown prince and the evil dragon, finds it cute as well. The success of the guild's business on the first day is all thanks to him. When the day ends, all the ingredients are already out. Moreover, the sales report is being delivered to Ciela. In addition, all the customers are informed that a portion of the profits will be donated to the temple as requested. In reality, it's not necessary to give a portion to the temple since the profit isn't that much. No matter how well the business goes, there is a clear limit to the money they can make. However, it's not how much they earn. In the first place, money is not Ciela's goal. Rather, it is to spread the word about the newly established merchant guild, Luminous, to as many people as possible. On that note, Esset finally hears about Ciela sponsoring the newly established merchant guild. He finds it ridiculous that she's trying to back it up after the annulment. On top of that, he thinks that she must be struggling to survive without his family's support. As expected, selling skewers in the park stall seems like her funds are quite limited. Since most of the business associates connected to his family have turned their backs on the Labyrinth family, joining hands with an established merchant guild is not enough. Esset anticipates Ciela's business to fall on its own without him having to do anything. Ugh, I hate him, he's so cruel! Anyway, he is waiting for Marquis Labyrinth to arrive since talking with him is much easier than with Ciela. However, it is reported that he's currently stuck due to his carriage suddenly breaking down. He might take longer than expected. So Duval orders his aide to keep in touch with the Marquis and, if necessary, mobilize their people to bring him to the capital as soon as possible. In addition, he orders to continue monitoring the Luminous merchant since he wants to see how it goes down in flames. In the following days, Ray returns to his human form now that he's alone with Ciel I. She has been pushing herself too hard recently, visiting the stall every single day without fail. He assures her that she's doing it because she's worried that the Esset family might interfere. Given Duval Esset's hostile character, he won't just sit still if things go well with her, thus she can't afford to let her guard down. Aside from him, Ciel I is more concerned about her father. Even though she hasn't said anything more about his situation, Ray already knows that it will take time before the Marquis returns. Eventually, he confesses that he's the one who sabotaged the wheels of her father's carriage. He explains that he did it solely to help her and felt it was necessary at the time. With this, she finally asks him why he treats her so well. Finally, Ciel I poses the question she has been wanting to ask. Initially hesitant, Ray eventually answers that it is due to their contract. Helping her break her engagement is part of it. Indeed, that is true. Their relationship is about both of them getting what each other wants. For Ray, his objective is to reclaim his fiancée. Please tell me he doesn't actually plan to win Tyrell's heart? After meeting Tyrell several times and not showing any interest once, he probably doesn't have any issues even without her purification ability. Ciel I then asks what made him accept the revenge affair proposal before. Since he isn't able to give her a straight answer, he requests that she give him a little more time. Understandably, his actions and attitude are questionable. However, he doesn't know where or how to start explaining it. I personally think he likes her, and it definitely shows. Moreover, he doesn't want to speak without any preparation. In return, he makes sure that it won't take too long. In the middle of their conversation, Ciel I realizes how strange the human heart is. Although she is the one who asked first, she is scared to hear the answer from Ray. Perhaps it's because she has a feeling that she must not heat up just yet. Even though she's not mad at him, the small shift in her mood makes it clear that something is off. Shortly after, she tells him that he doesn't have to answer right away. Since it's already late, it's now time to head back to the mansion. In the end, she wasn't able to sleep at all that night. The next day, she recalls her dreams about Ray, which makes her thoughts more complicated. Momentarily, Lethairner arrives to bear some good and bad news. Firstly, the good news is that the rumors about the Luminous have spread throughout high society. People are paying attention to it as the emerging merchant guild is sponsored by Ciel I. On the contrary, there is a proposal for Luminous from the Esset family, who want to make a deal with them. They are suggesting that they work with them instead and end the relationship with Labyrinth. Moreover, the Esset family is offering to increase the sponsorship by shocking amounts. Admittedly, it is a tempting offer. However, Lethairner already receives glares from Ciel I before she can say more. They won't accept the offer, so she will reject it properly. Momentarily, a worker knocks on the door to relay information about Ciel I's client, who has an urgent matter to discuss with her. She is not expecting anyone at the moment, however the client wishes to see her as soon as possible. It appears that he has come for a love consultation. At the moment, the client is already waiting for Ciel I in the library. Upon arriving, he immediately calls her out for being late. After expressing gratitude for his patience, she explained that she had to make some preparations since it was a sudden visit. The consultation seems mysterious because both of them are wearing masks. He's so handsome even with the mask on, though. Shortly, their session starts. Usually, Ciel I doesn't consult in person. She remembers meeting him last time, however, the exact details are now blurry. Anyway, the client admits that he previously tried to find dating advice through books, but he didn't get the exact answer to it. She then asks him to explain further about his current situation. Admittedly, he has gotten a lot closer with the lady, and they have been seeing each other a lot more often lately. In addition, he even got a nickname from her. For Ciel I, she thinks that everything is turning out well, especially since nicknames are only given when you have a good relationship. However, the issue is that there is something that the client cannot tell the lady. He needs to be truthful about the matter that he's hiding, which is why he's quite worried. Moreover, the matter that he is hiding is very important. The lady might avoid or even hate him as soon as she knows about it. Now, Ciel I can't help but get curious about what he is hiding. She proceeds to ask for further details thoroughly to help her give him proper advice. However, the client refuses to disclose it. For him, there is no one but that lady who can know. Because of this, there is only one piece of advice that she can give, which is to tell the lady the truth, whatever it may be. Lies are bound to be exposed, and secrets are bound to be discovered. If the client insists on hiding the truth, it'll be exposed one day, and when that day comes, their relationship will be ruined more than expected. Ciel I proceeds to discuss the confession attack. From the moment a person knows that someone likes them, even a little bit of interest may arise. So when they keep on thinking and thinking, they will eventually get attached without any realization. Finally, the client decides to try and gain the courage to do it. Furthermore, he asks for recommendations about which location is suitable for him to confess. Fortunately, Ciel I is an expert in regards to dating courses. She then proceeds to write down a list of popular places in the Empire. Afterward, she encourages him to win the lady's heart. On her way home, she feels relieved after successfully giving dating advice to other people. The thought of Ray doesn't escape her mind, though. If her assumption about him liking her is right, it might be an opportunity for her to escape from Duval Esset quickly. Upon arriving, she continues to think about how her father would break off their engagement if she said that she was seeing the Crown Prince. Not long after, she overhears someone saying that taking advantage of other people's feelings is clearly wrong, as if someone is reading her mind. When she looks around, she sees Maya comforting Lola. It turns out that somebody took advantage of Lola after he knew that she liked him. Her situation is quite similar to Ciela's, except she's the bad guy here. Later on, she decides to sleep it off and think about things with a clear mind the next day. However, Ray's image keeps on appearing in her mind, and she can't do anything about it. OMG, I bet she is starting to like him. While Ciel I is working, she suddenly remembers talking to Ray. She realizes that no matter what she does, she can only think about how she hurt Ray. But she then brushes it off and reminds herself to focus and not think of anything else. Later on, she finds herself sitting on the bench of the plaza. She then again remembers Ray and realizes she is confused about how Ray treats her since she thinks that is usual. She then comes to the conclusion that Ray might be in love with her and she worries about the possibility. Meanwhile, Ciela's helper looks at her and finds her acting weird by shaking her head. In the midst of Ciela's confused feelings towards Ray, she hides them by not avoiding Ray and replying to his letter, saying that she's swamped, so they can't meet for the time being. Ciel I feels she cannot bravely say that she likes Ray, and Ciel I also thinks she wants to maintain her relationship with him. When Ciel I and the others are preparing to close the shops, Ciel I asks the helper how the patrols in the area are going and reminds them to stay alert at all times since they do not know what Duval is going to do. Turns out, she is right to be cautious because not far from them are bandits who plan on destroying Ciel I's store and move in pairs as soon as the patrols leave their posts. The bandit aims to prevent Luminous's business from growing further and letting the Dark Guild know who is powerful. They then set the stores on fire, leaving everything in ashes. The following day, Ciel I receives a report that the store is burned. While reporting to her, the workers feel down and worried about the business. Ciel I assures them that she has planned to move on to their next business, a trading group, since the Luminous name is already quite well known. To start her new business venture, Ciel I meets with many noble people and invites them to invest in her business. Luckily, every meeting has positive feedback. After Ciel I's busy schedule, she gets some fresh air. While Ciel I is walking in the corridor, she hears a commotion of someone wanting to go inside and meet her. Curious about who that person is, she then looks at the doors only to discover that it is the young Duke Rubble Justice. The Duke then moves closer to Ciel I and informs her that he wants to talk to her while calling her cereal instead of Ciela. She looks at him, unimpressed, and curiously wonders why the young Duke is visiting her. Ciel I is also bothered by the Duke calling her cereal. Well, he may look like an adorable little pumpkin, but something tells me he's dangerous. A national hero, Duke Rubble Justice is the head of the esteemed and illustrious Justice family. Rubble's strength is his capacity to give up his own life to take the lives of his rivals. The Justice family exists to slay the dragon, just as a Labyrinth family does, whose purpose is to trap it within the labyrinth. Duke Rubble possesses the appearance of a young child. This appearance is a side effect because he possesses the power no one can match. To break free from this form, awakening is necessary, and there is one condition for awakening: the emergence of someone he wants to protect but cannot protect in his current state. Ciel I recalls that in the original tale, Duke Rubble awakens during the Festival of the Crimson Moon in order to defend Tyrael from the disastrous dragon's fury. Later, he evolved into the main enemy, threatening the protagonist's life and seeking to kidnap Tyrael. Suddenly, Ciela's thoughts are distracted by Duke Justice calling her cereal, which Ciel I then corrects him, and she spells her name for the Duke. After Ciel I asks the Duke what his visit is for today, the Duke informs Ciel I that he hears people saying that some prominent nobles are visiting her lately, and the Duke tells Ciel I that he also wants to ask something about her. After hearing this, Ciel I curiously asks the Duke if he wants to start a business. She, of course, thinks this is odd because Duke Rubble isn't supposed to be interested in anything. The Duke then informs Ciel I that he is not interested in business endeavors, because his attention is focused on the dark-haired boy who accompanied Ciel I to the carriage at the Imperial Ball. Ciel I is shocked to hear that the Duke remembers Ray since, during the Imperial Ball, Ray mentioned that he manipulates the people's memories. Thus, no one can remember the Duke Abschlechti ever attending the ball. Duke Rubble then tells Ciel I to inform him if she knows anything about the person, since the other nobles he asked admitted that they do not recall the person's name. The Duke also informs Ciel I that he only remembers the ominous aura he feels with the dark-haired man, and finds it very suspicious. Thus, he asks Ciel I if she knows anything about the man, since they look close that night. Ciel I then acts foolishly while telling Duke Rubble that she is not sure which dark-haired person Duke Rubble is talking about. Duke Rubble notices Ciel I's foolish expression, and thus concludes that she does not remember the name of the dark-haired person at the party. Duke Rubble then gives Ciel I a necklace, telling her that it is an apology for visiting her without a preamble. But Ciel I then tells him that she can't just receive a valuable gift. Duke Rubble then threatens her that he will not leave until Ciel I agrees to accept his apology gift. Persistent little guy! Looking at the necklace, Ciel I unwillingly agrees to accept it after Duke Rubble announces that he will leave and reminds Ciel I to inform him if she remembers anything about the dark-haired person. As they are about to leave the room, Ciel I and Duke Rubble hear a beep sound like a doorbell, but Ciel I tells him that it is nothing and continues to escort the Duke out of the room. Meanwhile, we can see Ray in his tiny dragon form making a beep sound as it flies away from the tree near the room. As Duke Rubble is about to ride off in his carriage, he looks out the window of Ciel I and thinks that his intuition cannot be wrong, and that what he feels from the guy is definitely the energy of an evil dragon. Ciel I questions Liaether about the state of the guild later that night. Since she's not there, Liaether jokes that they are going bankrupt. Thus, Liaether goes on to lament that his face is becoming earthy in color, and that Ciel I is taking advantage of workers. After that, Ciel I asks Liaether in jest how much money he receives and if this is exploitation. Ciel I even suggests that Liaether utilize this as an occasion to report her to the Dark Guild for his exploitation. Following their jesting, Liaether informs Ciel I that the new business is off to a stronger start, and that the nobles' reactions are also positive. After that, Liaether tells Ciel I that he worries a little since Count Esset's family controls the sponsorship business closely. Ciel I reassures Liaether that there's nothing to worry about because she trusts them. Ciel I then instructs Liaether to do a background check on the nobles since she plans to draw them to her. Thus, Liaether agrees and informs her that he will send her the information. As she is about to finish, she receives a magical correspondence with the Imperial family symbol. Ciel I is then compelled to respond to the letter because she cannot disregard a letter from the Crown Prince. According to the letter, the Crown Prince asks Ciel I whether she is so busy these days that she cannot visit him, even briefly. Ciel I responds that she is swamped. In response, the Crown Prince tells her he wants to go somewhere with her. After reading the response, Ciel I begins to cutely shake her head and tell herself that it will be difficult for her to pretend not to notice if Ray starts making overt advances towards her. Ray wants Ciel I's attention, but he's not even a big dog. Ray sadly implies to Ciel I that he doesn't know anyone other than her who will spend time with him. Ciel I then realizes that due to the curse, the poor guy cannot take a single step outside that Imperial Palace. Thus, he must pretend to be someone other than Rhiannos. Ciel I then replies to Ray that they will meet soon when time permits and that she is going to sleep. While Ciel I is drinking her tea the following day, Ciel I reminds her butler to inform her if Earl Kettleton will arrive. Ciel I instructs the butler to bring him to the reception room, but her instructions are cut off when the guard announces that Earl Kettleton has arrived. Ciel I notices the same scent as Ray when the person enters the room. Ciel I then moves close to Ray and asks her what he is doing in her house. Ray innocently tells her that he is there to talk business with Earl Kettleton. Meanwhile, the real Earl Kettleton is sleeping peacefully in a carriage. Seeing that Ciel I knows who he is, he then charmingly asks Ciel I not to avoid him today. How can you avoid a face like that? As Ciel I and Ray walk around, Ciel I suddenly remembers how Ray evokes her sympathy with his handsome, pitiful face. Ciel I remembers Ray telling her how frustrating it is to be stuck with a crossbow again, and if it is not for Ciel I, Ray would not have anyone to spend time with, which causes Ciel I to go off guard, and she is forced to join Ray. Ciela's thoughts are interrupted when Ray calls her and asks if she wants to go to their usual dessert store, which Ciela curiously asks Ray if he also likes. Ray tells Ciela that he comes to like the dessert store too. Ciela then asks what he likes, and Ray replies that the store is very famous for its grape tart, and that they need to try it too. While Ciela enjoys the grape tart in the store, she tells Ray that it has been a long time since she ate something. Ray smiles at Ciela and says he's glad it suits her taste. Ciela notices that Ray is not eating, so she reminds him also to eat since she feels that she might be eating most of the food. After the dessert store, they also visit the Crepes Outdoors and the steakhouse, which is said to be very famous. As they are walking, Ciela realizes that what they are visiting now is precisely the same date course she planned for someone and realizes that she's on a date. Ray notices Ciela's bothered expression and asks if something bothers her, which Ciela swiftly disagrees with. Ciela tells Ray that she's okay. Ray then asks Ciela to look at the sunset together, and Ciela asks if it might be about time to head home slowly. Ray convinces Ciela and tells her that it will only just be for a bit, and informs Ciela that it has been difficult for him to go out ever since he was little, and being out like now makes him feel happy, thus it feels like time is passing by so quickly. Hearing this, Ciela agrees, and they stand close to each other while looking at the sunset. The atmosphere feels so peaceful while they're looking at the sunset. While enjoying the sunset, Ciela notices that Ray is looking at her and asks if Ray is not interested in the sunset, but Ray replies that he finds it beautiful while looking at Ciela. Ciela thanks Ray and expresses how much she enjoys breathing in the fresh air instead of constantly discussing boring matters with the nobles. As they stare at each other, Ray notices a leaf on Ciela's hair and reaches for it. Ray's action makes Ciela's heart flutter. When Ray is about to talk to Ciela about both of them, he is stopped because of the rain. Thus, he pulls Ciela under the bridge first to avoid the rain. Ciela feels extremely awkward being stuck with Ray under the footbridge. This is a sign for you both to confess to each other already. Ciela starts talking to Ray about how the sudden downpour could signify that summer is almost here, as she waits for the rain to stop and takes in the awkward atmosphere. Ray observes that Ciela is feeling a bit cold when she's talking to him. So ever our number one gentleman, Ray covers Ciela with his jacket and reminds her to be careful because she could catch a cold even in the warm weather. After some while, Ciela is relieved because she is worried that she might get carried away by the atmosphere. When Ray is about to begin talking again, Ciela cuts him off and asks him if he will continue to look at her lovingly, thus making them stare at each other. While Ciela is staring at Ray, she realizes that even if she wants to avoid Ray, Ray's longing gaze is too apparent. And Ciela even realizes that she cannot avoid it any longer. Ciela tells Ray her side and informs Ray that she's trying to avoid him. Ciela confesses to Ray that she is not being as honest as she thought. Ciela also confesses that she is like other people, struggling alone and not having leisure time, thus making her feel a little scared. Ciela then looks at Ray and asks him to give her a little more time until she can get the courage. She then reassures him that she wants to hear what he's going to say, but she still needs time to prepare for it. Hearing Ciela's honest feelings, Ray longingly looks at Ciela and tells her that it is enough for him and that the fact that Ciela cares for him already makes him tremendously happy. Ray reassures Ciela that he can wait forever for her to be sure of her feelings. He even jokingly tells her that it may not look like it, but he is pretty good at waiting. Ray informs Ciela that he will not just stay still, but in fact, he will do something to help make sure of Ciela's feelings for him. Meanwhile, Tyrael is sitting inside the Empress's room. While drinking tea, the Empress tells Tyrael that it is raining a lot and that it will be hard for her to return home due to the heavy rain. The Empress then tells her that she should not have called her very late. But Tyrael reassures the Empress that it is okay and that she will always come whenever the Empress calls her. The Empress then praises her and tells her that she speaks beautifully and the Empress likes her. Tyrael feels confident and smiles at the Empress after hearing the Empress praise her, while replying to the Empress that she feels glad of what she said. The Empress then informs Tyrael that she is glad that she is on her side. Tyrael replies that she will do anything the Empress commands her to do. Hearing Tyrael's replies, the Empress then informs her to prepare since it is time to take back what is theirs that Ciel Labyrinth took. It is evident that the Empress is wicked. Tyrael curiously asks the Empress what she means by getting everything back. The Empress explains to her that from the very beginning, Ciela wants to break off the engagement with Esset, and when Tyrael says that she loves Esset, Ciela suddenly changes her attitude and then proceeds to get the attention of Esset and makes Esset stay away from Tyrael. The Empress then starts to brainwash Tyrell by telling her that Ciel I stole the affection and attention that Tyrell should receive. The Empress explains to Tyrell that Ciel I only pretends to care for Tyrell, but in the end, she humiliates her in front of everyone. Hearing everything from the Empress, Tyrell then believes that Ciel I is doing everything on purpose. Seeing that Tyrell believes her, the Empress then informs her that she will receive the most honorable and highest position in the Empire, which Tyrell easily believes is the Empress. Next, the Empress is in the room alone and happy that Tyrell is easily persuaded, just like giving candy to a child. She then remembers her plan to keep the Crown Prince under her by using Tyrell's abilities, and giving Tyrell the position of the Crown Princess is a good thing. The seat next to the cursed prince. The next day, while riding in a carriage, Ciel I remembers her date with Ray and feels embarrassed by what she told him. Ciel I's thoughts are cut off when she arrives at Arya's place. Ciel I is warmly welcomed by Arya, and as they are walking around the garden, Ciel I informs Arya that her money donations are too much for the guild. Still, Arya assures Ciel I that nothing is compared to the help she receives from Ciel I. Hearing what her companion just said, Ciel I expresses how grateful she feels for Arya. Arya then tells her that she will do her best to help in her business and also to make Ciel I increase her connections. Arya proceeds to inform Ciel I that she can increase her connection by receiving the Summer Star. Still, in order to receive the Summer Star, Ciel I must make a considerable contribution to the Empire, which is very hard but not impossible to do at all. Hearing Arya's suggestion, Ciel I then asks for a favor. Later on, a man is waiting nervously outside the gates. He asks himself why the daughter of the Marquis is looking for him. Feeling nervous, he is about to leave but is stopped by Ciel I. Ciel I warmly welcomes the guy, Apel. Apel then nervously reports to Ciel I that he is being called to meet her. Ciel I then informs Apel that she is the one who sent Apel the letter and invites him inside the palace to talk. Looking at Apel, Ciel I recalls that in the original story, Apel is a person who knows how to create something, but he is worse at dealing with other people. However, Ciel I knows that behind Apel's nervous and trembling tension right now, Apel will be a great wizard. The teacup is evidently shaking as its holder raises it for a sip. Apel is obviously nervous, and this does not go past the sight of Ciel I, who is sitting across from him. Well, who would not be nervous if the lady of the family who contributed to the founding nation is sparing him her attention, right? After all, how could she be right in front of him, a man who is a nobody? He is merely someone who has been treated like nothing but a fraud because of his ideas. Amidst his hesitations and doubts he has for himself, she assures him his innovative products, especially the scroll, interest her greatly, and with that, she wants to help him with their development. Her support surprises him, making him feel an upsurge of excitement as he explains matters concerning his invention, a magical paper that can restore mana immediately. However, due to the lack of support and investment, his invention remains underdeveloped, and the lack of resources slows the progress even more. He needs a specific ore. Fortunately, the lady knows of it and even has access to it. Well, perks of having a partner who owns a mine. The story is still the same. The inventor still needed black magic stone, Raben, to proceed with the development of the scroll. Now, she hopes that she can fasten the invention of it. With her offer, she needs to know how long it will take to finish the invention of the scroll. But his answer does not satisfy her. The making of the scroll cannot take half a year. The Summer Star Award ceremony is fast approaching. Hence, she declares that it should be finished within a month. After all, she shall receive a huge number of Raben from Arya for this production. But there is another problem. The last magic formula is written in an ancient language he cannot decipher. As she holds the formula, she sees Ray, in his cutest form, a tiny dragon peeking through the window. As she welcomes him, he finds a piece of paper and asks her about her visitor, even highlighting if it is a man. The lady quickly responds who it was and what was their agenda. She even shares their last problem for the invention, the ancient language used in formula, but the Lord seems not to be listening. He is rather busy with the formula. Before she can finish her words, the Lord hands her the scroll, and alas, he has solved it already. Looks like the development of the scroll will go smoothly, all thanks to Lord Ray. According to Apel, there is no one left who can speak the ancient language used in the formula, so it is beyond amazement that Lord Ray was able to solve it instantly. Perhaps his dragon form aided in his knowledge? But either way, there is no response from him but a cute little peek. She calls for a helper, May, to send the inventor a message telling that all the formulas are solved. Later on, she and Ray, still in his dragon form, personally visit the inventor in his place. His place looks quite unstable, so she is hesitant to knock, but before she can even touch the shabby wooden door, it opens, revealing its owner, who seems to be unwell. He looks like he has not been sleeping for days. His skin is pale and has garnered dark circles under his eyes. But to him, his health and looks do not matter at the moment. He invites him inside his abode while apologizing for his messy home, with paper scattered on the floor. But it did not matter to the lady. It is only right to personally visit the inventor she favors. She hands him the formula they have solved to try for an experiment. As he examines the solution, the accuracy of it astounds him. Finally, his idea is becoming more possible, and it's all thanks to the lady's lizard? This fact surprises him even more. Enough with the surprises. He proceeds to combine the formula with the ray-pen. Upon dipping the paper into the mixture according to the formula, something explodes. He stumbles to the ground, which worries Ciel I. Her worry washes out when he seems not to mind the explosion as his attention is on the paper. It's a success! With so much joy, he immediately gets up and rumbles all his gratitude to the lady, even closing their gap. So close that Lord Ray attacks his face. What a jealous little dragon! But he did not mind the attack he received. After all, to him, nothing can surmount the happiness of a successful experiment. Now, all that's left is to show it to everyone, and it seems that Ciel I already has a plan for it, as she instructs him to be quiet about it and let her take over instead. Now, back in her place, she is busy checking something when a helper calls for her. Apparently, there are numerous packages sent for her from a sender named Escalating. Upon opening it, a hint of confusion can be heard from her. What's with the health supplements? Lord Ray is sitting on the table holding the supplements the lady had received earlier. Apparently, he has been feeding her those, but she is not enjoying it anymore, refusing to take another one. But the little dragon is really persistent, and she cannot ignore his cuteness, so she has no choice but to give in. The little creature surely is worrying for her health, so she assures him that she will take care of herself better. Aw, look at him wanting to care for his lady. As they sit in front of each other, she asks him if he is fine in his form, even suggesting he shift to his human form. After all, it is just the two of them in the room. It's also already late for someone to barge in. But that is the very reason why he refuses to shift. It might be dangerous for the both of them. She quickly imagines what it could have been with his drop-dead gorgeous human form. The image naturally makes her blush. I mean, who would blame her? Look at him! She abruptly changes the topic, trying to avoid the images in her head. Her attention is now on the scroll, the time and place to properly showcase it. It seems like there's no such place that will satisfy her target audience. The whole world but Ray quickly suggests something else. There would be a charity party with an auction that would be held on the Marquis' Cherish, an event where the great nobles gather. But the thing is, the hosts are descendants of the Empress, who is not on good terms with the Lord. The bad blood between the Empress and the Lord bothers her, and going to the auction would mean he'll be meeting the people that side with the Empress. People that could also be against him. But he has already made up his mind. What's important to him is to help Ciel I. In return, he makes a request, a promise. The day of the Cherish Foundation approaches, and as expected, many influentials are attending. They're gathered in one spot gossiping about the host of the event, and it seems like they're also mocking the Labyrinth family, taunting if a new business venture can match the standards of the Cherish Foundation. As if on cue, Ciel I, the Lady of the Labyrinth, arrives with an oozing confidence, thanking them for the interest they are showing in the summit under her support. After gracing them with her unfazed charisma, she turns away from them with the determination to have them begging for the scroll after the auction. But upon walking, she recognizes Duke Rubble Justice. How come a man who is not the type to attend such events is present? She wants to hide, but before she can conceal her presence, he already notices her. Having no choice left, she entertains the man. Upon greeting, he notices the necklace he has given her. He showers her with compliments that make her feel strange. She already needs to exit to prepare for the auction. Before she can excuse herself, another man makes his presence known, Mr. Escalating, aka Ray in his dashing suit. His appearance perks the curiosity of the Duke, as he does not recognize his name. But the newly arrived man did not care about the Duke. Rather, it was taking Ciel I away from him. Perhaps jealous? Mr. Escalating being possessive over the lady is not what caught the Duke's attention, but rather her necklace that is now glowing. The necklace he gave to her glows as it detects the evil dragon's energy. The identity of the unfamiliar man is now clear to him. Ciel I steps up, defending Mr. Abschlechty behind her, stating to the Duke that it is not the right place to discuss the man's identity as it can cause disturbance to others, and the Duke surely does not want the place to be noisy. Well, she doesn't even want to make a big deal out of it. A tension between the lady and the Duke is forming, but the man knows very well that it would be difficult to deal with the evil dragon in the Labyrinth. Their pairing is unexpected to him, and all he sees are dangers and threats. But it seems like there would not be any trouble to be caused by the dragon, so he chooses to let them go. For now. This smells like trouble for the future. As the Justice leaves them, he sighs in relief. It was a nerve-wracking situation for her. However, the man beside her is just smiling. How can he smile at her situation? Well, she just protected him by confronting the Duke, and it is enough to make his heart happy. His appreciation draws him closer to her, enclosing their gap, promising that in return, he would protect her at all costs, even if it would cost him his entirety. But before the space is gone, the MC announces the start of the auction. It's time. They divert their attention to Appel, who is anxiously presenting his invention, the scroll. With a bead of sweat on his forehead, he explains his innovation, a paper that when torn enables magic to a person even if he's not a wizard. Everybody is intrigued and at the same time hesitant about this product. How could it be possible for one to possess magic in such ways? Could it be a scam? Everything is going according to Ciel I's plan, even the part where everyone doubts the invention. Of course, they are prepared to let the people experience the scroll firsthand. Marquis Wilhelm, a person who doesn't believe in magic, volunteers to test the product. As the Marquis receives the scroll, he makes it clear to the inventor the consequences. If ever it is a scam, it would be hell for him. With nothing but doubt, he tears the scroll, and behold, fire emerges from his hand seemingly out of nowhere. Everyone, especially the Marquis, is surprised by what they've seen. The power of the scroll is real. Instantly, everyone has a change of heart, demanding to possess a scroll. Their personal demands are becoming chaotic. He immediately redirects them to Lady Ciel I, the sponsor of the merchant. They crowd over her, all demanding to be served first. After a very hectic day, Ciel I is with Ray by the balcony. He's congratulating her for the huge success of her business. Instead of acknowledging it as her own success, she thanks him for solving the formula instantly in his cutest form, a description he denies as a man. Her teasing dies down, and he bravely asks for her answer to his question before. He carefully extends his arm, inviting her for a dance, which Ciel I gladly accepts. After all, there is no reason for her to decline a hand that is gently offered to her. His request before was for her to dance with him during her happiest moment, a request so pure and lovely. They sway with the soft melody of the music, being one with the rhythm. Their dance is pure bliss, a comforting appreciation of each other. How soothing it is to have someone who can be a great support. As they dance, he takes her necklace off. She is happy, genuinely. They are so cute. Please let them be happy together always. At the Imperial's consort palace, the Empress's helper reports the uproar caused by the scroll's announcement. The Empress seems to be calm about it, expressing her interest in the biggest sponsor for its development, Ciel I Labyrinth. The lady's name has surely become popular among the nobles who are trying to catch her attention. This seems to be a problem. As the Summer Star Award is fast approaching, the Empress is more likely to choose Lady Puratina as the Summer Star, as she often spends time with her, but Ciel I seems to make it hard. But behold, the Empress actually favors the current situation more. Contrary to her helper's imagination, she likes Ciel I to be the Summer Star. She was only holding her decision to give the award to Lady Labyrinth because there was still no reason for it. But it seems like the lady herself is making her own path. The Empress has been eyeing the lady for quite some time already. Well, she is originally meant to be a bridge to connect the Crown Prince and Lady Puratina, but the lady is still childish and foolish. But the intention of the Empress is not pure. To her, having Lady Labyrinth on her side would mean the Crown Prince losing his mind and becoming the evil dragon. This would definitely lead to his dethronement, a chance for the second prince to take the throne. The question reigns, is Ciel I a fool to choose love or a smart lady who will choose power? Geez, give your evilness a break, lady! On the other hand, Ciel I is back in the guild's headquarters. Everyone missed her presence, to which she greeted shortly. She walked straight to the door, only to see Liether slumped in his desk unmoving. Is he dead? She rushes to him with great concern, shaking him aggressively, only to hear long sentiments of complaints, but his mood shifts when Ciel I mentions the salary raise she's planning to give him. He is, again, loyal. As part of his duties, he hands her an exclusive list that will surely make her happy. The list of Summer Star candidates with her name on it. Surely everything is coming her way. Or is it? The Summer Star is a prestigious award given to the lady with the greatest contribution to the Empire in a year. But the criteria for this contribution is unbeknownst to anyone, as it is the Empress herself to evaluate the candidates. Therefore, ladies try to attract the attention of the esteemed Empress by any means. Lady Labyrinth arrives at the palace with high hopes of receiving the award, but apart from that, discomfort spreads throughout her body when she sees Lady Poratina. She knows they are bound to meet, but her feelings cannot be helped. Tyrael approaches her to congratulate her and initiate a small talk, but it seems like her purpose is not just to congratulate her. She suddenly changes the topic to what happened in the past. Starting to shed tears, she then apologizes to Ciel I. She is definitely making a scene. Her show of vulnerability does not end there. She hugs Lady Labyrinth with her tear-stained face. Her act may be sincere for others who are watching, but do not be deceived by such an act. As she deceitfully hugs the lady, she whispers her evilness and how she easily manipulates people's viewpoints. Ugh, she is so two-faced. This does not surprise the Lady of Labyrinth. She knew all along how a little good deed can change perceptions they have for you. Perhaps a little act can make up a good reputation. Tyrael is now being called by the Empress, but before she goes, she makes it clear to Ciel I that she and the Empress have been spending time with each other. The only statement that makes her hope to be the Summer Star waver. The Empress must have chosen already, and it will be the Lady of Poratina. After all, it is only beneficial for the Empress to choose Tyrael to have someone who can take control of the Crown Prince through purification. It is like a game over. All are gathered as they wait for the Empress, the announcement of the Summer Star happening. The Empress appears to look so sweet and kind, like she cannot do anything wrong. She starts with her expression of gratitude for the ladies that are gathered. All ladies are notably amazing, having incomparable virtue and wisdom, but only one can receive the Summer Star Award, and it is none other than Ciel I, the Lady Labyrinth. She is in shock and elated of the results, and she receives a little gift from the Empress. She has also been invited for tea with her, which makes the other ladies envy her. But her joy abruptly stops as an eerie discomfort airs. Something is not right. Even more when Tyrael gives her a weird smile that sends shivers down her spine. The aftermath of the announcement is having a flock of people congratulating and trying to acquaint with her. But despite the business at hand, the eerie smile Tyrael still lingers in her mind. What could be the meaning of it? As she is leaving, she is oriented that she will be invited by the Empress for tea. Upon leaving, she takes a look at the place and sees that the Empress and Tyrael are together. Confusion boggles her mind once more. What are they planning? Is the result of the Summer Star already in her favor? Or perhaps chaos is bound to happen? Her travel heading home is quiet, but her mind is screaming entangled thoughts. The Empress's involvement will change the preconceived future of before. She needs to be cautious. She needs to find a way. Her rival is well given attention, and it does not go past the servants with her gloomy aura and bluish mood. All she wants is rest. With thoughts running wildly and anxiety creeping within her, she is drained. As she enters her room, all she can do is plop down on the floor, but she has to be strong. It is not time to show fear. While in the middle of her distress, a little dragon flies towards her. Ray! He immediately hugs her, sending warmth to her anxiously cold stomach. The warmth of the Lord does not end there. He even massages her to release the tension that's building up. She shares her burdens and what happened earlier. However, he is unable to respond to her as he cannot find any writing material. His desire to converse with her is visible, hence she offers him to change in his human form. He is hesitant, but she is pleading, and a pleading Ciel I is not something he can ignore. Upon his transformation, he lands on top of her. Awkward as it may seem, but it does not bother them. All they want is to express themselves. Sadness washes over them as they both know that their contract is no longer effective. The foreseen growth of the Luminous will give her parents a hard time pressuring him to re-engage. What happens to them then if they're no longer bound by their agreement? All she can think about is ending the contract right now. However, she does not intend for their relationship to end, but rather let their feelings grow. Feelings that are already rooted even without a contract. She then asks him if he's willing to stay with her still. The Crown Prince gives her a warm embrace and professes that he will always stay by her side. OMG, they're making progress! On the other hand, a voice celebrating a new lady can be heard from a box. A voice coming from the gift given by the Empress. It's pleading to be freed, but its offer is quite intriguing. Can it really see the past and the future? The following day, Ciel I woke up to a faint voice. She thought it was just Ray mumbling, so she shrugged it off. Ciel I kept getting up in bed, making Ray follow her. While relaxing on the terrace, Ciel I plays with Ray. She thanks Ray for helping her get a good night's sleep by singing her a lullaby. Can Ray get any sweeter than this? Afterwards, while Ciel I is calmly stroking Ray, he suddenly flinches. Ciel I worries she might have hurt Ray unconsciously. Her maids appear and inform Ciel I that Duke Justice has arrived without an appointment. The maids are stressed, fearing that the Duke of Justice might harm Ciel I. However, she quickly tells the maid she'll dress first and then entertain Duke Justice, leaving an angry little dragon Ray behind. In the office, Duke Justice spoke directly. Even if his visit troubled Ciel I, he had to discuss the events at the ball. Ciel I acted innocently, asking whether he was accusing the man at the ball of involvement with the evil dragon, despite his innocence. At this, Duke Justice reminds Ciel I, her powers were meant to defeat the evil dragon, not to protect it. If she can't do her duty, he warned, then the country would have to act. Ciel I didn't move and tried to think about her reply. There was no point in denying anything, but acknowledging the evil dragon's existence would become a problem. Luckily, Ray appears as Mr. Abschlecht, shocking Ciel I. Justice starts attacking him and orders Ciel I to open the Labyrinth. Ray quickly stops Justice's attacks and introduces himself as the Crown Prince of the Empire, making Justice instantly kneel. Justice questions Ray about his sudden visit, citing rumors about Ray's struggles with the evil dragon's energy and the Imperial family's secrecy about his condition. Justice sees the rumors are false and tries to probe further, but Ray quickly cuts him off, reminding him that he's not obligated to answer. Meanwhile, Ciel I listens intently to Ray and Justice. Observing Justice's calculating approach, she recognizes it as an advantage. Realizing that the meeting between Ray and Justice makes things irreversible, she decides she must intervene before Justice can probe further. Ciel I quickly hugs Ray, acting concerned about his lack of rest, and warns that Justice might become more persistent now that he has seen Ray. Ray firmly insists that he cannot let Ciel I speak to Justice alone. Justice, watching Ciel I hug Ray, stares at them and directly questions their relationship. Is it obvious? They're in love! Ray, visibly uncomfortable, tells Justice that their relationship is none of his concern and that he must leave, as he's unsure how long he can tolerate Justice's presence. Justice, sensing the dismissal, announces his departure. The narrative notes that this is the reality of being a third wheel. Alone, Ray turns to Ciel I and gently asks about their relationship, making her blush. Seeing her embarrassment, Ray says he'll wait for her answer, even if it takes forever. Such a gentleman! If only you're real! Meanwhile, Raider is meeting the new customer. When he sees the man, he realizes it's Duval. Duval boasts that he should investigate everything about Ciel I, no matter the cost. Hearing Duval's request, Raider begins to write the amount Duval must pay. The Vice Guildmaster hands the paper to Duval, who is shocked by the size of the sum. He questions Raider, who explains that since the subject comes from a noble family, he will investigate personally. After this, Duval reluctantly agrees, reminding him that he wants every detail about Ciel I. Meanwhile, Ciel I and the little dragon are spending time together. As Ciel I compliments how cute the dragon is, it quickly disagrees, insisting it isn't cute but fearsome. Ciel I stops talking when she hears a voice. Ciel I searches for the origin of the voice. A glowing hedgehog appears and introduces itself as a spirit that dwells in the stone the Empress gifted her at the Summer Star. The hedgehog sees the dragon and thinks it might hurt Ciel I, so it quickly attacks Ray. Ray stops the hedgehog. Ciel I walks towards the box and looks at the brooch. World's cutest Pokemon battle! The dragon gives her a note. It says Ciel I needs to give the spirit a name so it will follow her. Knowing this, Ciel I announces she'll name him Porpy. The hedgehog accepts. Afterwards, Porpy tells Ciel I he can tell her future if she gives him $1 billion. Ciel I knows Porpy is scamming her and doesn't give in, so he settles for just 1 gold coin. Porpy tells Ciel I she will marry someone who will be the cause of her suffering and that her life will be in danger. Hearing this, Ciel I quickly reacts and calls Porpy a fraud. She announces that Porpy needs to be punished, making the dragon charge at Porpy. Porpy tries to talk, commenting on how mean Ciel I was in her past life. She gets quickly shut down by the dragon. Luckily for Porpy, Ciel I did not mind much. Her attention was on the Marquis of Labyrinth's arrival. She dismisses Porpy and tells Ray to return to his castle, assuring him she will be fine. Ray reluctantly follows Ciel I's instructions. Afterwards, Ciel I arrives at her father's office and tries to make small talk. He quickly cuts her off. He directly states his plan. He wants to retract Ciel I's engagement with Duval and insists it will be good for her and the Labyrinth's family. Ciel I quickly disagrees. She tells her father that if he is worried about funds, she has already solved that problem. Her father stops her and asks why she chooses the difficult road when an easier one exists. He also tells her not to worry about Duval being a womanizer, saying it will pass once they build a family. If you badly want marriage, then marry him yourself, why don't you? Realizing she cannot change her father's mind, Ciel I announces her departure. She declares she will return only when he appoints her as a legitimate heir, not merely a tool. As she leaves, Ciel I accidentally bumps into her stepmother. The stepmother overhears and immediately thinks Gerald will benefit once Ciel I is gone. The following day, Ciel I is at her new place and is enjoying the scenery while commending herself for planning ahead of time, and realizes that the incident is already clear of knowing that her father favors Gerald more, and that Isabella is also determined to eliminate her from the family, which means that at present, she is an outsider. May then arrives with some things Ciel I left behind at the Marquis' house, and she praises Ciel I's taste in choosing a place, since it's way better than any hotel. May also informs Ciel I that her father never went outside, which might worry her. But Ciel I responds that she is sure her father only worries about re-engagement, nothing else. May then hands her some gifts and a letter she received after she became the star of the summer. Knowing this, she instructs May to return all the gifts and promises she'll explain later, which May agrees to and leaves. Later that night, Ciel I is shocked to see Gerald outside her room, since it's been a long time since they last met. She starts to remember how kind Gerald treats her, and also the time when Gerald thought she acted suspiciously after she possessed the real Ciel I. After all, he knows his sister best since they grew up together. Afterward, Ciel I asks Gerald why he has come. Gerald replies that he wants her to return home, believing the situation is a misunderstanding. Ciel I clarifies that it's not a misunderstanding. She asserts their father has already chosen Gerald as the next heir, but she has also expressed her intent to be the heir and will not back down. You go, girl! After listening, Gerald assures Ciel I that even if they want him to be the successor and even make him study at the Noble Academy for further training, he doesn't have the attention or whatsoever. Ciel I smirks and comments that Gerald is not as dumb as they say at the academy. Gerald bristles and explains that he's only defending Ciel I from others after the engagement was broken off. Gerald then promises to talk to Isabella and refuse the succession. Hearing this, Ciel I remains cautious around Gerald and even asks whether he is willing to sign a succession waiver, which he agrees to. At the same time, elsewhere, the Marquis tells Isabella that he wants to talk and see how Ciel is doing, but Isabella stops him, explaining that Ciel I's absence will give her time to reflect, and that Ciel I might go directly to Duval to beg him to take her back. Moments later, Gerald bursts in, looking anxious, and announces his intention to reject the succession. Isabella silences him sharply, her impatience clear, and pulls him outside. Outside, Isabella observes that Gerald doubts his ability to become heir without labyrinth skills. She states he can retain succession by adopting Ciel I's child. Gerald glares at Isabella in disgust and refuses. Isabella orders the guards to confine Gerald to his room. Isabella is ruthless. Gerald tries to hold his mother back, but Isabella stands firm, watching as the guards drag Gerald back to his room. Left alone, Isabella flashes an evil smile. She thinks about how, once her plan succeeds and Gerald becomes a Marquis, she'll be free to do whatever she wants. Another typical evil, greedy mother wants what doesn't belong to her. Meanwhile, as Ciel I drifts in her dream, she again sees the beautiful dragon she once saw in the theater with Ray. While she admires it, the dragon suddenly proposes marriage, shocking Ciel I. She asks the dragon why it is so sudden and says she can't marry a dragon. As she states this, the dragon transforms into a handsome man, but his image slowly fades as she starts to wake up. Upon waking, Ciel I sees the little dragon Ray nearby, looking tired. She tells Ray he should have waited and visited in the morning, but Ray explains that he came now because he wants to check how she's adjusting to being home, and because he worries about her frequent nightmares. Noticing that Ciel I also looks tired, Ray tells her to rest, which she quickly follows. While resting, Ciel I shares with Ray what she dreamt and later slowly drifts to sleep. As Ciel I sleeps, Ray quietly watches over her. Gently, he kisses her hand and softly tells her to have a sweet dream. Later that night, Isabella visits the guild full of assassins and tells the leader she will pay a large sum if they can kidnap Ciel I and bring her to her. The assassin agrees to this since it is easy. The next day, Raider shares the information about Isabella's intention of kidnapping and poisoning Ciel I. They obtain this news with the help of the magic globe and also because their guild works with the assassin guild. Learning this, Ciel I tells Raider to give the assassin a go signal to kidnap her, but she only has two requests: that the temple be the meeting place where she will be delivered, and that the assassin be gentle with her. The Vice Guildmaster assures her that everything will be as follows. Ciel I is such a badass! A few days later, a drunk Ciel I is dropped by the assassin inside the temple. Ciel I then gets up, calls for Porpy, and instructs him. A few minutes later, Isabella appears in front of a tipsy Ciel I and mocks her for being naive. Isabella boasts that she knows her weakness is being drunk and will not be able to access the maze power. Hearing this, Ciel I smirks and mocks Isabella, saying her sources are wrong, and instantly shows her power, leaving Isabella scared since nothing makes sense anymore, and shaking with fear. As darkness spreads everywhere, Isabella panics. Ciel I begins to reveal that, from the very first, Isabella was already part of Ciel I's plan, and she didn't even notice, even when the assassin guild Isabella paid to kidnap her chose the meeting place at the temple rather than some forest. Hearing everything, Isabella asks Ciel I how she's able to do all of this, but Ciel I only smirks and tells her that it's a secret. Hopelessly, Isabella tries to assure herself that evil spirits are only an illusion while charging towards Ciel I. But she abruptly stops when a bright light flashes between them, and she sees the terrifying beast inside the maze, making her halt and start to question when Ciel I became so disobedient, when in the past she always followed every rule they gave her. Ciel I also questions Isabella. She is projecting her own greed onto Gerald by pressuring him to do something he doesn't want to do. Hearing this, Isabella became furious and told her to shut up, charging towards Ciel I again. While Isabella is focused on choking Ciel I, the priests show up one by one and tells Isabella to stop her crazy act. Seeing the priests encircle them, Isabella freezes, her hands raised in surrender. She desperately tries to assert that she's only defending herself from Ciel I's power. The priests, who observe the encounter from the outset, regard her explanation with skepticism and signal curtly to the temple guards. Isabella, stunned, stumbles as she is forcibly dragged away. Hopefully she'll be imprisoned forever. While the commotion is ongoing, Ray arrives and directly walks towards Ciel I. Seeing Ciel I, she quickly lowered her guard and collapsed at Ray's feet due to exerting too much power in opening the labyrinth. Ray proceeds in carrying Ciel I and assures her that she is already safe. Afterwards, while resting, Ciel I is happy that the plan succeeded, and with so much evidence, Isabella will never get out of jail. Ray then catches Ciel I's attention and tells her to rest and not think of the incident. Seeing Ray being a little worried, she assured him that she is fine and even feels relieved after the incident. But Ray tells her that he could have arrived sooner to protect her, and right now, to him, the most important thing that matters is the person he loves the most, which is Ciel I. Hearing this, Ciel I blushes, tries to awkwardly dodge the moment, and then asks Ray for some snacks. While eating, Ray states that having her by his side all the time would be more convenient, and Ciel I reminds him that he always sends his little shape to be by her side, so to her, that counts. But to Ray, being physically present is different. Next, Ray starts telling Ciel I that he can help her become the heir if they marry, since to acquire the Labyrinth's family, one must be married, and since he's a crown prince, he will compromise by becoming a duke. Knowing this, Ciel I stops Ray and reminds him that he loves and cares for the Empire, and that all he needs is to get stronger to protect it. Ray agrees to this, but adds that when he gets stronger, he'll make a law allowing the crown prince to marry into another family, catching Ciel I off guard. Oh, Ray, you are down bad. A few days later, Ciel I arrives at the garden for an audience with the Empress. While enjoying the tea, the Empress asks how Ciel I is doing after the incident, which causes a commotion among the other nobles. Ciel I assures the Empress that she is fine and there's nothing to worry about. Ciel I then quietly assesses the atmosphere, thinking nothing serious is happening and that she might only be overthinking, only for the Empress to witness her with Tyrael. She must not let her guard down. Afterwards, the Empress tells Ciel I that her success on the Luminous has made the Empire more affluent. She praises Ciel I for making a bold move by investing in the scroll, even when others thought otherwise. Because of this, Ciel I is considered important and becomes a Viscount. This title helps her feel safer. Hearing this, Ciel I is shocked, but she informs the Empress that her being a Viscount might be hard since the current head of the Labyrinth family is not willing to accept her. But the Empress informs Ciel I she has nothing to worry about approval, as she already sent an instruction, and as for the party, she will also help in preparing. Later that night, Ciel I arrives at the Marquis's house, and after the meeting with the Empress, she knows that the Empress will not favor her if it doesn't also benefit the Empress. Upon going to her room, Ciel I meets with Gerald, and he informs her that he will be leaving since it's improper for him, as an ordinary person, to stay at the mansion. Gerald also apologized for his mother's actions, but Ciel I tries to tell Gerald that it's now entirely Isabella's fault. Hearing this, Gerald starts to think that his mother might be telling the truth about being framed, but brushes it off and waits for the investigation to finish. Oh, please, why am I starting to doubt Gerald? I hope he stays a good guy. A week after the succession ball is held at the Red Ballroom, the other guests think the Empress must really favor Ciel I, so they try to approach her to congratulate her, but she only kindly thanks them. As the party gets busier, the ladies approach Ciel I to congratulate her on being chosen as the summer star. A lady then asks why Ciel I returned the presents they had sent her, but Ciel I only explained that she didn't send it back with any intention of causing bad feelings. But behind Ciel I's mind, she sent the gift back since to her, those are bribes for her to favor one family during the Sword at the Winter Ruby Moon Festival, since, as the summer star, it's her duty to choose who will receive the magical sword. These girls are leeches! Afterwards, Ciel I sees Apul approaching her at the party. Ciel I thanked him for being present, and then Apul informed her that he would be joining the Wizard Tower. It's all thanks to Ciel I believing him, but Ciel I didn't think about it, and that's also because Apul is talented. In the middle of the party, Ciel I went out alone and started to feel sad since her family, Gerald and her father, weren't there to celebrate and congratulate her on being a Viscount. Even more so, Ray is absent at the party, the only person she wants to see. Meanwhile, guests are shocked and mesmerized to see the Crown Prince arrive at the ball. Noticing the commotion, Ciel I also looks and is shocked to see Ray in front of her. Ray then announces that from then on, he will proceed to do the role of the Crown Prince. Hearing this, the people smile at the news, but are still in shock. Ray reminds everyone that tonight's party is for Ciel I's succession, so they continue the ball. Later inside the room, Ciel I asks Ray why he joined the ball, but Ray casually tells her he always joins her party, the only difference being that he enters from the front door rather than the back, making Ciel I blush and reprimanding him to stop saying it, since people misunderstand. Ciel I starts to stress out since this will definitely be the talk, and gulps down the wine. Ray stops her by pulling her towards him, and as they hear each other's heartbeat, Ciel I's father barges in, demanding an explanation, but stops after witnessing the intimate position of Ray and Ciel I and immediately excuses himself. Gosh, that must have been awkward for the dad to walk in, especially because they don't have a good relationship. Meanwhile, Justice informs his butler that he will be joining the party even if he's already late. While he's riding the carriage, he can't help but worry about the sinister dream that he keeps seeing, and thinks that if Ciel I dies, most of the nobles will die, including him. After realizing that Ciel I has been on the Crown Prince's lap for some time now, the two awkwardly separate. These two are as red as tomatoes! Ray swears that from then on, he can finally stand beside her as the Crown Prince of the Empire, no longer needing to hide himself. He wants to strengthen his position, but it's going to be challenging at first. He just hopes that Ciel I can wait until he can formally escort her. Later, as she watches Ray leave with his guards, she can't help but realize just how many sides of the Crown Prince he allowed her to see. However, one thing has been constant, and that's his unwavering feelings towards her. Find me a loyal man like him! Just as the royal carriage is out of sight, Duke Justice suddenly appears, wanting to speak with her. When they're settled, the Duke tries to tell her that he's been having horrid dreams. At first, Ciel tries to dismiss his words, but she is caught off guard when he mentions that in his dreams, horrible things started happening, which began with her death. Ciel is shocked to hear that the Duke has been dreaming of the events in the novel. What's even more unsettling is that Rubble has known to come directly to her. I have to give this to Duke Justice. He has impeccable instincts. Rubble explains that he has never experienced awakening before, but in those dreams, he felt the vivid effect of his full powers. In those dreams, he actually felt like he was awakening. Ciel knows that she's partly to blame for his predicament, seeing as she's there changing every aspect of the original plot. She tries to reassure him that the reason for all of this may be the pressure he feels about not having awakened yet. His dreams may be conjuring up the worst-case scenarios. She tells him not to worry too much and tries to divert his attention by teasing him about his worry for her. He reasons by saying that since he will die if he dies according to his dreams, he, of course, has to check up on her. Meanwhile, Duval is fuming to learn about the relationship between Ciel and the Crown Prince. He swears to do everything he can to find Ciel's weakness. Gosh, talk about a toxic ex! Ciel, on the other hand, is unsettled by Rubble's dreams. Thankfully, her spirits were lifted when Raider presented her with a succession gift, an adorable black lizard doll. However, her day is interrupted when the usual client who's always asking for dating advice has once again visited her. That is how Ciel finds herself disguised once again. This mysterious client tells her how successful the date she's planned has been. Ciel notes that the stranger looks different now, all blushing and sparkling. She figures that her advice might have been effective. More than you think, Ciel. Wait till you learn who he is. But then the stranger has a different concern now. Even though he has grown closer to the lady who captured his heart, he shares that every time they touch, the lady always seems to want to pull away. As a solution, Ciel pulls out a bunch of books about romance for him to read. When he learns the nature of those books, his face quickly turns red. These are books on intimacy! His reaction is hilarious. He even calls Ciel shameless. Ciel points out that he couldn't possibly think about such things if he wants to marry the lady. Her client then promises to read the books. Before he leaves, Ciel gives him some more advice. She tells him to look deeply into his love's eyes to figure out what his lady wants. Later on, Ciel realizes that Ray might be feeling exactly like her mysterious client. After all, she's been pushing him away too much. Meanwhile, the Imperial Consort and Tyrell are planning something sinister again. The consort wants to start a rumor that ever since Tyrell has been visiting the palace, the Crown Prince emerged completely healed. Soon enough, people would think that Tyrell healed the Cursed Prince and would pair her up with him. The Imperial Consort then shows Tyrell something, a mirror. She wants Tyrell to be the second person to know the truth about the Empire. Meanwhile, Ciel has arranged a meeting between the Crown Prince and Duke Justice. She wants to clear up any lingering suspicions Rubble has against Ray. Despite the awkward atmosphere, Ciel explains that it was he who first approached the prince by sending him a magical letter. Rubble questions why the prince would even reply to such a thing, so Ray confesses that he was intrigued since no one had dared to reach out to him before. Seeing as Rubble is still not convinced, Ciel tells Ray to show him his evil dragon form. Ray reluctantly transforms into his adorable dragon form. Not so evil after all, right, Rublet? Rublet is shocked to see such a tiny thing. He still has to come to terms with everything, so Ciel assures him that she and the Crown Prince are working to earn his trust. In order for a rapport to grow between them, Ciel decides to take Rubble and the Crown Prince, in his tiny form of course, out to shop for some swords. She knows just how much of a sword addict the Duke is. While they're there, she overhears a bunch of nobles gossiping away. They're talking about how Lady Tyrell healed the Crown Prince. Ray is quick to assure Ciel that those rumors are not true. What really worries her is that the events of the novel seem to be getting back on track. Rublet, on the other hand, is quick to confront the gossiping nobles. The one spreading the rumor is stuttering when she tells him that she heard those things from the temple, along with the rumor that Lady Tyrael is being considered as the next saint. Huh! A saint with an awful personality? Don't make me laugh. Rubble sharply warns them to refrain from spreading rumors about the imperial family without evidence. Later, he tells Ciel and Ray to have this matter investigated, seeing as this baseless rumor is being spread with a sinister purpose. The next day, Rubble had invited Ciel to his duchy. He gave her a sword straight from the Justice Armory. Despite Ciela's reluctance and assurance that she has the power of the maze, the Duke insists on teaching her swordsmanship. He then tells her that he speculates that someone else in the imperial family can channel the power of the evil dragon other than the Crown Prince. He recalls how he felt a sense of unease while he was talking to the ladies in the sword shop who were spreading rumors about the prince and Tyrael. Meanwhile, Ray is confronting the imperial consort about the spreading rumor, but she is acting innocent. Before Ray can demand more answers, they are interrupted by the second prince, Shade El Arzentime. Shade exclaims how worried he was for his brother, but Ray mockingly recalls how this worried brother had a guard stationed in front of his door to prevent him from leaving the palace. Mother and son, of course, gaslight him, telling him that it was his choice to lock himself up in his room. After all, he can simply use the power of the dragon to destroy the palace. Ray, not backing down, warns the consort to watch out for the consequences of her actions. When the Crown Prince leaves, the Imperial Consort assures her son that during the Sword of Winter competition, everyone will see just how vile the Crown Prince is as soon as the ruby moon rises. These are certainly cut from the same cloth. Pure evil! As Ray is making his way through the palace, he encounters Lady Tyrael. The lady begins to act coy and innocent, clearly turning on her charms. Ew! The lady tells him how she regrets their broken engagement, but Ray reminds her that she stole her friend's fiancé. Tyrael, ever the trash she is, quickly blames Ciel, claiming that she has used her all along. Ray is not interested in her nonsense. His feelings for Ciel will never change. He warns her that the next time she badmouths Ciel, he will not let her off easily. Tyrael begins to act hysterically. She exclaims that Ciel has deceived the prince and that she worked hard to purify the prince of his curse. Huh? What is this delusional woman on about? Ray notices that her eyes are red, which means that she has been enchanted. This must have been the same feeling that Duke Justice felt when speaking with those gossiping ladies. There must be someone else who can use the power of enchantment other than him. Tyrael quickly runs off, muttering that she has to see him. Who is she going to see? Meanwhile, Ciel is fast asleep when she starts dreaming about her younger self. In her dream, she wakes in a forest while it's raining, trying to care for an injured hedgehog. Young Ciel quickly finds shelter in a cave. However, she gets ill and passes out due to the cold. Suddenly, a little boy comes out of the cave. He sees that the little girl is unwell, so he touches her, and his hand starts to glow. Soon enough, the girl awakens, and she is no longer ill. She quickly expresses her gratitude, but she insists that he heals the hedgehog as well. When he refuses, she begs him, showing him how much pain the little animal is in. The boy relents, but once the hedgehog is healed, he insists that the girl leave. He wants her to never come to that place again. Ciel suddenly wakes up, confused about that random dream. She can't help but think that the little boy in her dream looks like Ray. She reasons that she probably misses him. That's why she had that bizarre dream. Just then, she is startled when she sees Ray enter her chambers in his dragon form. He is quick to change to his human form, telling Ciel how much he missed her. Ray embraces her warmly. He knows that she might have been worried about them parting ways the other day. He also wants her to know about what's happening in the Imperial Palace. When Ciel tells him that they could have seen each other in the morning, the prince explains that he can't wait that long. This man is down bad. Ray then tells her about his encounter with Tyrael. There may be someone using the power of enchantment other than him. All he knows for sure is that the Imperial Consort and her son are involved. And so he has to keep an eye on them in the palace. His only worry is that he can't come see her as often as he wants, but he will ensure that no harm will come to her. Ciel can't believe that he's still worrying about her when he is the one who has to go to that nest of vipers called the palace. Ray expresses just how kind Ciel is, but in her mind, she can't help but disagree. After all, the prince's constant consideration for her has made her believe that he is the kindest person there is. The next day, as Ciel is in her guild, Raider suddenly enters her office. He's scared to death since Duke Justice has paid them a visit, threatening to destroy their guild if he doesn't get answers. Ciel I wears her disguise artifact to deal with it. When she confronts Rubble, the Duke sharply asks her if the Crown Prince has even visited them. She confidently answers that their guild has never investigated the Imperial family. But then Rubble questions if the Lady Labyrinth has ever visited them. As usual, Rubble's intuition is right on target. Ciel I knows she can't lie, so she chose to twist the truth. She claims that Lady Labyrinth has indeed visited their establishment since she and the Guildmaster are acquaintances. Satisfied with this answer, Duke Justice leaves them alone. However, this leaves a lasting impact on the guild members. Some even try to barricade the door in fear of the Duke coming back. It's hard to imagine these grown men being scared of a puny Duke. But then again, the Duke is quite powerful for his size. Ciel I declares that they need to exercise caution, so they must pack up and move before the Duke digs further into them. In the Esset manor, something shocking is happening. Gerald is applying to be a servant in House Esset. He even brought incriminating evidence against House Labyrinth. He declares to want to get revenge on House Labyrinth for abandoning him. Duval convinces his father to accept him, and soon the arrogant jerk is taking Gerald around the house. He proudly declares that soon his ex-brother-in-law-to-be would have all praise for their house. Meanwhile, Gerald is internally irked by him. All he can think about is getting as much evidence against House Esset for Ciel I to use. That's a good brother right there. In the Labyrinth's manor, Ciel I is feeling restless. She can't speak with anyone about the things that's been going on in her mind. May, her maid, has some speculations as to why she's sighing nonstop. She claims the lady is torn between the ever-loving Crown Prince and the all-powerful Duke Justice. Ciel I is scandalized by the maid's claims. She unwittingly found herself in a cheesy love triangle in people's minds. To make matters worse and to fuel May's delusions even further, Duke Justice visited her once again. But his visit is more serious in nature. He informs her that he's been investigating the lady they met in the sword shop, the one spreading rumors about the Crown Prince and Tyrael. When he talked to her, the lady didn't even seem to remember meeting them that day. She was clearly in some sort of enchantment, something flimsy and not quite convincing. Rubble wants to investigate further, but in order to do that, he needs her help. He then reveals that he knows that she is the guildmaster of both the Relationship Guild and the Luminous Guilds. Ciel I tries to talk her way out of it, claiming that he's talking nonsense, but it's useless. He had clearly figured it out when they met at the guild. Even though she was in disguise, all he did was observe the way she moved to know it was her. Ciel I has no choice but to own up to it, but she insists that the Crown Prince has never entered the guild. But Rubble knows better. The place has the evil dragon's aura all over it. The only explanation would be that the prince has entered the guild as a client, one whose identity is hidden. That's when Ciel I realizes that there is only one mysterious client she has, the guy who's been asking for dating advice. Finally, she figures it out! Gosh, Rubble's brain power is working non-stop! The realization comes crashing down on Ciel I. She even recalls when she first met the stranger. He was telling her how a lady had sent him a letter and that the lady may have feelings for him if she was asking him to have an affair with her. She then made Duke Justice promise to never tell the Crown Prince about this. Later on, in her room, Ciel I is dying of embarrassment. I would too. She even recommended him all those intimate books to read. Fortunately, she is interrupted by May, who wants her to pick a gown for the upcoming Snow White ball. Meanwhile, in the Imperial Palace, Shade is spying on his brother using a crow. He comments that the prince is suspiciously quiet. He then recalls that his mom wants him to separate Ray and Ciel I during the ball. She informs him that Ciel I's maze power can be amplified, and they can use it to control the entire empire all at once. Suddenly, Lady Tyrael enters his chambers. He comments that the lady has been spending most of her time in the mirror room. Tyrael explains that the mirror listens to her. Gosh, what voodoo magic is on that mirror? She then asks what favor the prince wants to ask of her with regard to the Snow White ball. Shade gifts Tyrael with something in a box. He fuels the lady's delusions, saying that once she wears it, his ungrateful brother and the ignorant masses would know just who she really is. Tyrael then claims that she is the only one who deserves to be on the Crown Prince's side. Unbeknownst to the evil people closing in, Ciel is at home facing endless mountains of paperwork. She even has to spend a lot of time preparing for the ball. As she is bickering with Porpy, the elemental spirit suddenly stops her from opening a letter. He claims that it has a strange aura. The hedgehog opens it himself and reveals a sinister-looking necklace. Ciel reads the letter and learns that it's from Gerald. He says that the necklace is around every servant of Esset, seeming to have some power over them. He sent her the ones they gave him so she can find out what it is. Ciel fears for her brother. He has clearly gotten himself in trouble. But she has to find out what that necklace is. There's only one person she knows who is in the magic tower. The day of the Snow White Ball has arrived. Ciel and Rubble are attending together. She tells him about the mysterious necklace that Gerald has sent her, so they are teaming up to find similar jewelry amongst the crowd of nobles. Naturally, people are drawn to Ciel since she was the star of the summer. The constant chatter annoys the Duke so much that she suggests that they separate while doing their mission. He's such an introvert. Ciel soon becomes exhausted with the crowd's attention, so she hides away on the balcony. To her surprise, Ray is there as well. Apparently, he feels nervous since it's the first time he'll see her for a long time. The prince then hugs her tightly, telling her how much he missed her. Ciel knows that her feelings for the prince has gotten stronger, and she can no longer deny it. To the prince's surprise, she hugs him in return. When she pulls back, she confesses that she likes him. Wah! Finally! Ray, the adorable cutie, pulls her under the conveniently placed mistletoe. He reminds her of the saying that those who kiss under it will stay together forever. As he caresses her face, he quietly asks her if he can kiss her. I squealed so hard at this scene. With a heartfelt yes, Ciel allows the prince to kiss her. Woo! Fireworks everywhere! Meanwhile, Duke Justice is still dead set on their mission. He's eavesdropping on Tyrael and her gaggle of gossips. They are all showering her with praises. However, when one of them brings up her past living as a commoner, the atmosphere suddenly changes. Rubble can clearly feel that the power of the enchantment comes with Tyrael's anger. She makes the nobles kneel without words until they apologize to their so-called saint. As quickly as it has come, the power recedes, leaving a smiling Tyrael as if she's not a complete villainess. Rubble can't believe what he just witnessed. Even he was overwhelmed by that evil power. Just then, Tyrael notices his presence. He knows he can't fight her off now, but he has a duty to the Empire to stop this. Ciel and Ray are still in their lovey-dovey moment to notice that Rubble is in trouble. Despite the awkwardness, the two finally agree to be lovers. But then a servant suddenly informs the prince that it's time for his speech. Before he leaves, he asks her to wait for him. Feeling giddy about what happened, Ciel makes her way back to the ball, but she encounters Prince Shade. Ciel is stunned to see the second prince. She knows that she has to guard herself around him, as it's just the two of them there. She greets him respectfully, as it's customary. Shade doesn't waste time at all. He speculates loudly that the reason Ciel is around his brother is because of his influence, implying that Ciel is an opportunist. Ha! Have you seen just how charming your brother is? With feigned concern, the prince warns her that his brother will not give her what she wants. However, Ciel is steadfast. She declares that she cares for the crown prince and would do anything for him. Shade then mockingly counters if Ray would do the same for her, even give up his throne. Ciel is angered by his words, but the prince continues by saying that if she becomes his, then he'll give her everything she desires. Ugh, what a jerk! Meanwhile, Rubble is confronting Tyrael. He sharply questions what she has done to the other nobles. The ladies present are quick to defend their so-called saint. Duke Justice realizes that they are too brainwashed. Before the Duke can do anything, Tyrael realizes a strange power, trapping him in a maze. Tyrael can mimic Ciel's power! In the ball, the Imperial Consort is weaving her web. She has declared that the Crown Prince is free from his curse and that the Saint has used her power to heal him. After making a toast for the people and enduring the Imperial Consort's mocking words, Ray exits the hall in a hurry. For some reason, he feels out of breath and dizzy. As he feels increasingly weak, Tyrael appears out of nowhere. She tells him that the blood moon is clearly affecting his curse and offers to purify him. However, Ray calls her ridiculous, not wanting to be touched by her. But as delusional as ever, Tyrell declares that she has seen the future in the mirror where the Crown Prince and she love each other, and Ciel I is the one who will put the Empire in danger because of her jealousy. She is sure that she is the only one capable of saving the realm. Delulu much? However, Ray doesn't tolerate her nonsense. He calls her out for daydreaming too much. But Tyrell tries to trap him in a maze she has prepared. Just then, Ciel I appears at Ray's side. Tyrell then accuses Ciel I of causing all this chaos and declares that she's the only one who can make it right. Ciel I can see that the lady is now deep in madness, but before she can subdue her with her power, Ray groans in pain. Before he collapses, he calls out a name. Elle. He asks for this person's forgiveness. Who can that be? Ciel I threatens Tyrell to turn the Crown Prince back to his original state. Just as the arrogant Tyrell is about to intensify her power, she suddenly collapses, bringing her magic down with her. That's when the other nobles find them. Everyone is startled to see Lady Tyrell and the Crown Prince unconscious. The scene then shifts to another flashback. This time the young girl and boy that looks remarkably like Ciel I and Ray are together. The boy is berating her for coming to the forest so often, especially since she knows how dangerous it is. When he questions if she's a maid who keeps slacking off, the girl introduces herself as El Latiana, daughter of Lydiana, who's the Empress of El Dorado. Oh, so this is Elle? When the boy learns that Elle is not allowed to eat anything good, he conjures up a table full of delicious food. Elle is amazed, but she hesitates, saying that her brother is the only one who can have such things. The boy is irked to hear this, so he leads Elle to the table, saying she can eat all she wants. He then introduces himself as Letty. Turns out, this has been Ray's memories all along. In his sleep, he mumbles just how sorry he is. Ciel I, who's been diligently taking care of him, can't understand why he keeps apologizing. Seeing his master in despair, Porpe decides to reveal the truth. This world is, in fact, not the world in the novel. Porpe can't tell her much, since Ray is the only one who can tell her the rest. One thing is for sure, everything that's happened has been Letty's, aka the prince's choice for Elle. Later on, as Ciel I is pondering the new information, Duke Justice comes to visit. But he has changed. No longer in his childlike body, Rubble has awakened to be an incredibly powerful and attractive young man. To dismiss Ciel I's shock, the Duke explains that while he was trapped in Tyrell's maze, he felt helpless for the first time in his life. At that moment, he realized that he couldn't protect the realm. It was his love for the realm that caused his awakening. Aw, look at how noble he is! They then discuss a more pressing matter. It seems that no one can remember what happened during the ball. On that note, Ciel I shows the Duke the necklace that she sent to the magic tower. It turns out that the necklace has brainwashing magic, one that dates back to the ancient El Dorado era. Wait, El Dorado? No one can decipher the magic in it, but Ciel I believes that Ray may hold the answer. Meanwhile, in the palace, the Imperial Consort is berating the mirror for making Tyrell collapse just when the prince and Ciel I are about to be trapped in the maze. To her surprise, a strange man manifests in the mirror. The Imperial Consort is startled, but the man claims that because of her efforts, he has regained his former body. He claims that their plans have been a success. The man explains that his influence over the Empire has increased. All that needs to be done now is for him to share his power with her. He tricks the woman into holding his hand, but instead of giving her his power, he absorbs her life. This leaves the Imperial Consort a soulless body, which can still rule. He now has absolute power. The only thing left to be done now is to visit the woman pretending to be his sister, Ciel I. In the Labyrinth's manor, Ciel I is startled when she discovers Ray on her balcony. The poor little dragon is in pain, but he still visited her. Ciel I scolds him for coming in his state, but the Crown Prince then confesses that seeing her is more important than being exhausted. Gosh, such sweet words coming from such a tiny thing. Ciel I carries him to bed, but when she calls him her lover, he can't help but transform into his human form. He is easily flustered. Soon, they are discussing more pressing matters. Ray mentions that there is only one person who comes to mind who is well versed in El Dorado's magic. Ciel I tries to guess, asking if that person is Elle. To her surprise, the prince suddenly has tears in his eyes, asking how she knows that name. The prince's reaction shocks Ciel I. The prince takes her hand and asks her if she remembers. However, Ciel I explains that L is the name he's been mumbling when he was unconscious. Devastated, Ray explains that he's been waiting for her to remember that name, but for now he can't say any more. Right then, the prince begins groaning in pain, so Ciel I demands that he rest. A single thought remains in her mind. Who is L? Suddenly, she is in another dream, one that looks nothing like her reality. She's wearing a peculiar outfit. Soon, she is being berated by a person with purple hair like hers, demanding that she creates opportunity for him to meet the blessed dragon. The person who turns out to be her brother threatens her. The situation becomes even more confusing since this brother is not Gerald. Before her so-called brother can spout even more horrible words, another person arrives. He is announced as Lord Absolector, the Holy Dragon. The people around her are calling her Princess L. So if she's L, then the dragon would be Letty. The boy looks and sounds exactly like Ray. The boy warmly greets her with a happy birthday. Right then, her twin brother named Knox interrupts them. He informs the dragon that the coming-of-age ceremony is for the two of them. The dragon is not interested in what he has to say, though. Instead, he wants to speak with Elle privately. That's when the dream ended, startling Ciel I out of her nap. The dream feels like they're memories from a distant past. A few days later, at the Colosseum, Ciel I and Rubble are talking about the mysterious El Dorado. The Duke tells her that records of that time have been completely erased. Most stories that remain are of the moment of destruction. The story goes that a villainess has seduced the evil dragon into using his power, causing the fall of the prosperous empire in the blink of an eye. Ciel I is convinced that those stories are false. To their surprise, Ray has come, but in his Lord Absolector form. He is concerned for Ciel I, who looks exhausted. The prince then comments that despite what happened in the Imperial Palace recently, the people seem completely oblivious, almost as if in a spell. Right then, the Imperial consort arrives to greet the people. But to their surprise, a man is with her. He announces that he's long waited for this moment, to see his dear sister again. The man, Knox, then says that he shouldn't even call her that since she's not his real sister. He then opens a maze, trapping Ciel I within it. Once she is in chains, the man explains that he hid in the mirror before El Dorado was destroyed, and thanks to her interference in the story, he was able to step out of it. The man then menacingly tells her that the dragon has been using her all along. Right then, Elle sees Ray in chains as well. Knox continues his speech, telling her how the dragon has caused his sister's death, blaming him for the loss of thousands of lives. He angrily accuses Ray of keeping a replacement that looks like his long-dead sister. The man then warns Ciel I that she too will be discarded once the dragon loses interest in her. Ray tries to explain, but Ciel I declares that she knew all along that Ray only wanted her to remember on her own. She stands firm and declares that she is not naive. She explains that as Knox's power intensifies, so does her memory. She is indeed Knox's sister, Princess El Latiana of El Dorado. She tells Ray that she now knows just how deeply he knows her for a long time now. Knox, on the other hand, is shocked. Is she really his sister? Before he can say more, Ciel I declares that she'll close the maze. Turns out, Ciel I came with a plan. The maze is supposed to contain the power of the evil dragon, but all this time, Ray's power has been coming from the Holy Dragon. Knox is only angered by this, launching an attack at her. He claims that if she is really his sister, then she wouldn't have forgotten how she perished in the hands of Absolector. What? Before the surge of power hits Ciel I, Porpy appears, deflecting Knox's magic. He informs Ciel I that if she wants to save everyone, she has to find Knox's central attack point. In order for her to find his weakness, she has to regain her memory. She turns to Ray, asking him to restore it, but Knox warns her that once she does that, she'll refuse to stand by the dragon's side. However, Ciel I declares that no matter what she remembers, what she feels for Ray will never change. Ray trusts her, so with his magic, he allows her memory to come back. Ciel I soon finds herself in the past. She's telling Letty that the only person who has shown her any kindness, despite being strict, is her brother Knox. He is the heir to the Empire. However, on that day, during their joint coming-of-age ceremony, the Emperor suddenly declares that, because of the Holy Dragon's favor, Elle will be the Crown Princess. As the Crown Princess, Elle has to undergo rigorous study. She finds it difficult to adjust, but her brother has been there all along. He guides and encourages her that she can do it. I don't have a good feeling about this. But things in the palace have not been easy. One night, Elle visits Letty. Seeing as she's down, Letty asks her what's wrong. She explains that people have been spreading rumors about her competence. Even though Knox has been helping her, people are now making up stories about her. Embracing her, Letty tells her that the world is not as pure as she is. He swears to stay by her side until the world sees just who she is. After enjoying a peaceful night in Letty's arms, Elle returns only to find her brother furious. She apologizes for worrying him. He excuses his anger, saying that he is only ever worried about her. He then serves her the tea that she likes. She takes a sip from it and thanks her brother for always believing in her. But then suddenly she collapses. Knox then utters that she should surrender everything to him. When Letty learns of Elle's illness, he rushes to the palace, demanding answers. Knox starts weaving his web of lies, telling him that Elle has been suffering from an illness all along. Only with the help of the Holy Dragon can she be cured. The herb that can help Elle does not grow in El Dorado. However, the land from where the herbs come has been demanding too much in exchange for them. Knox tells Letty that they are clearly using this opportunity to weaken El Dorado. Knox convinces the Holy Dragon to wage war for the herbs to save his sister. Soon, Abselector's effort to save Elle has been perceived as the dragon's allegiance to Knox. Knox quickly rose to power, becoming the Emperor. When Elle wakes after a year, she finds the world around her crumbling. Letty has been visiting her to bring her the medicine, but all she can feel is fear every time she smells the scent of war on him. She wants to know the truth, but no one is telling her anything. She demands to know if this unending war is because of her. She refuses to take the medicine, but Letty begs her to. He explains that he's doing all this for her sake. However, this burden is too much for Elle. The next time Letty visits her, he is devastated. She has taken her own life. As he weeps for her, he reads the letter she left behind. She explains that she now remembers that it was her brother who poisoned her. She can no longer be the reason why everyone, including Letty, is suffering. She regrets ever meeting him since she has destroyed his peace. This is so heartbreaking. At present, Ciel I tells her brother that it was he all along. He's been placing blame on the dragon for his sister's demise, but it was he who had driven El Dorado and his sister to ruin. His years in the mirror have warped his memory into thinking it wasn't his fault. Ray regrettably tells Knox that it was he who had forged all records with his magic, blaming his sister and the dragon for the destruction. Knox breaks down upon learning this. The more he learns the truth, the more the barrier of the maze collapses. Knox is finding it hard to adapt to reality. Overwhelmed by the destruction he caused, he made himself believe that it wasn't his fault. As his power weakens, Ciel I traps him in a maze where everyone who has fallen for his schemes is waiting for him. As they watch, Knox gets consumed by his own guilt. Ciel I suddenly finds herself in a peculiar place. All around her, she sees memories that are both familiar and strange to her. She stands there confused, but Ray appears behind her. He explains that this isn't the first time she has lived in the Argentine Empire. He reveals that the novel that she believed she had read was actually her second life, where she was reborn as the daughter of a marquis and he as the crown prince. At first, he simply observes her from afar, seeing her life from the outside. He doesn't want to ruin her life again. But when he sees that she is drifting farther away from happiness and suffering because of others, he uses his magic to reverse time. Even though it is forbidden to counter death, he is willing to do anything for her. This time, he wants to have the life they couldn't have before. Even so, he apologizes for being selfish, but Ciel I responds that she doesn't mind. She thanks him for finding her again, and just as she kisses him, she tells him how she loves him. Later on, Ciel I is with Duke Justice, who was feeling guilty for not being able to help her in the maze. Ciel I assures him that his help is more than enough. After all, it was he who protected the people and even testified about what happened. Rubble then declares that the records about El Dorado should be corrected. After all, the Empire has to know what really happened. Later on, Ciel I visits her guild. Everyone is relieved to see her. The members express how much they've missed her. Raider then quickly reports their recent findings. They've managed to retrieve Gerald before he got in trouble. He's now recovering in a safe place. House Esset has also been implicated in spreading the brainwashing necklace. He then gives her a projection stone. It's from Mage Apul. He expressed how worried he was for her as well as how thankful the mages are for her actions. After that, the members express their fear that she will abandon them since her station has obviously risen. However, she reminds them that she will always be the guildmaster. She can still boss them around. Sometime later, Ciel I visits the Imperial Dungeon to see Tyrael. However, she is only disappointed that despite everything, the lady still does not show any remorse. Disappointed, Ciel I turns to leave, saying that they'll never see each other again. Even as Tyrael begs her to save her, she continues to walk away. Soon, a celebration is held for Ray and Ciel I's accomplishment in uncovering the truth. The Emperor, who's been incapacitated by the consort's actions, expresses his gratitude to Lady Ciel I. But then he suddenly asks them when they would be engaged. The two are so embarrassed right now. Ray then answers that Ciel I cannot give him an answer now, but he confesses that he plans to formally propose to her soon. Later on, when they're alone, Ray clarifies that there is no need to rush. After all, he's good at waiting. However, Ciel I doesn't want to hesitate anymore, telling him he doesn't have to wait any longer. Oh, a wedding is coming up? Ray expresses how relieved he is that they can now openly talk about their feelings. Embarrassed, he even confesses that he sought the help of a guild for dating advice. He's thankful for the person who wears a mask for helping their relationship. Ciel I then takes this opportunity to reveal that that person has been her all along. This revelation turns Ray into a tomato, remembering how Ciel I has even recommended books about intimacy. In her defense, she didn't know it was him at the time. Still, Ray is relieved that Ciel I is aware of how genuine his feelings are, but Ciel I replies that she's known that for 1,000 years. They've spent an eon together, sharing joy and sadness. Through everything, Ray has stayed with her. And so, as the two get married, Ciel I knows that in the days ahead, Ray will be by her side. Their moments together would surely shine more beautifully than anything. Look at our beautiful bride and handsome groom! Their love is truly one for the ages. We can only wish for a love as solid as theirs. Thank you all. I hope you enjoyed their journey.